right.
Oh, my shoulder popping and everything. Goddamn.
3, 2, 1. One for the each of you.
Do we really gotta start this?
Yeah, you know what? JR is just going to sit in the corner over there. What up, everybody? It is episode 33 of PS Comics I Love You. And we're hoping that there's some positivity on this show from here on out, because the last 20 or so minutes of the pre-show and then about a 15-minute phone conversation about 3 hours ago does not have me being positive for this episode. But after a lot of positive reaction of how we handled The Last Jedi, we're going to power right through The Rise of Skywalker. It should be noted, you know, JR, who produces this show, this is right here. For those of you watching the YouTube show, I've got 3 pieces of paper. This is all news and notes, okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is JR pissed off at Star Wars.
About what, 3 pages?
3 pages.
Cool.
So it's 6 pages of notes, half of which are news and notes, half of which are him. Oh, just really pissed at the world. But maybe we'll handle things like we handled The Last Jedi and just kind of drop in every once in a while on the good parts. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about the movie in about 2.5 hours. We've got a lot to get to. We got news and notes. We got to talk about this movie. We are watching The Rise of Skywalker. So while we do our intros, if you want to get in on your DVD, Blu-ray, iTunes, Vudu, Disney Plus, whatever you're going to watch it on, Google Play, get it loaded up, get it to those 000 on the Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. He is J.R. Cabacungan, and at least for one last night only, he is the Darth King. He is the Dark King. He is Darth Cabacungan, the Sith Lord of Palm Springs. I am the Jedi Master Kevin Pillow at Voice of Reason 23. You can also find us on Instagram at PS Comics I Love You, Facebook PS Comics I Love You, and on Twitter PS Comics I Love You, the letter U. And coming soon, who knows, maybe we'll find another social media outlet. But you can also email the show, pscomicsIloveyou @gmail.com. And yeah, we got all that. Of course, if you're listening to the audio podcast, scroll on down the description of the podcast, and you can find that hyperlink that'll send you to our YouTube channel. You can see some video of this show. If you're watching the video show, what up? What's going on, YouTubes? Again, thank you so much for listening to us. Great show last week. We had a lot of fun. We did bitch and complain a little bit. We had some fun.
We're drunk a little bit.
We were drunk. We were all over the place. Good Lord, did we cover a lot of ground.
Last week I will say I was a happy, ranty drunk. I'm sober this week, so I'm just being an angry.
What we're gonna do, folks, is we're gonna do our damnedest to avoid angering our Filipino friend over here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about good stuff. We may go off script a little bit. We may talk about all kinds of stuff. We chased so many damn rabbits last week. It's not even funny.
It felt like a regular podcast. It felt like a regular podcast.
It was. And we are, for those of you who are wondering about the Star Wars format, this is the last movie format. Next week, we will give you a full rundown. JR is really going to be in the driver's seat on this one. Matter of fact, it's not going to be a watch along format, but I'm going to have Clone Wars on in the background because I've never seen it. Now, real quick, so that our fans at home can do their own homework. JR, give us a little bit of a sneak peek of what you have in store for next week. We're obviously going to cover the Clone Wars series, which can be found in its entirety on Disney Plus.
Yep.
Hint, maybe a little talk about Rebels.
Probably a little bit of Rebels. I know that a lot of Dave Filoni stuff came from Rebels, and of course the Clone Wars sagas.
Yeah.
And Go ahead.
Now, my other question is, are you going to talk about the Clone Wars movie? Now, there was one or two movies,
I can't
animated
recall.
movie.
The anime, I think possibly too. It's just more so. It's I'm also probably gonna look back at the well, because here's the thing. There was the Clone Wars, there was Clone Wars, right? The original animated like 2D written one back in I think 2006, I think. And
Yeah.
then after that Dave Filoni and a lot of people, they rebooted it, and so it became
Oh,
animated.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's the Clone Wars that a lot of people know nowadays, right? With Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka Tano, her first appearance was in the Clone Wars animated series, and then with her run, we have Rebels, we have I think no, we have Clone Wars up to think up to season 7 or chapter 7, and then we have Rebels, and then we have I think another one after that. No, there's something before Rebels. I forgot. I can't recall right now. Just still kind of pissed off about freaking Last Skywalker. But yeah, we could talk. We could definitely talk about that. We could definitely also fucking talk about how Mandalorian deeply ties into Clone Wars, the animated saga, Rebels, and everything involved, man. Because
What about Resistance? Star Wars
Resistance.
Resistance.
Yeah, the Resistance. That was like a weird, not weird, but like it was like a small bit piece, right? Resistance is still in there. It's the Dave Filoni piece. We see an older Ahsoka Tano there, but like I remember correctly. I got to rewatch it. It deals with certain factions of how she's in where she's at today,
Okay.
like or in the spoiler alert, the Mandalorian series today, and so yeah, yeah, guys, and so it's a beautiful piece. You figure out we figure out her ties with the Jedi. We figure out what happened after the calamity, of course, of order of what Anakin has done, and what his role as Darth Vader. We see her fight Darth Vader a couple times, or meet Darth Vader a couple times within I think the Rebel series.
Yeah.
So, but other than that,
So
man,
really
like
and truly, the Clone Wars, to go back to the Clone Wars animated feature film,
mhm.
was essentially rebooted by the Clone Wars
But
series.
yeah, no, it wasn't a feature film. It was a full on series. That
Oh no,
that
no, I
had
know,
that
but there
actually.
wasn't. I thought there was a Clone Wars movie, like animated movie.
I'm pretty sure there were that
But
which helped. It was like the one junction. Like it was weird during the pre sequels,
hmm,
the sequel prequels, where like they try to interact every film with the animated series jump. The main one that I watched and I const and the main one that I watched and I referenced to was actually the Clone Wars Saga, I think it was called, where it actually had to deal with what happened during the Clone Wars.
hmm.
When you had the clones versus not the Empire. I forgot what they're called, but yeah, the current regime at the time. And so that's the one I referenced to. And then we go on years later to the Clone Wars saga that we all know with Ahsoka Tano, where she is under the guide of of, of our baby killer. of our women and children killer,
So
freaking Anakin Skywalker.
really and truly, if you want to follow along the show, you're just going to need to watch the Clone Wars TV show, which can be found
Yeah.
on Disney Plus. I
Mhm.
think it's a seven season show. The final
Mhm.
episodes aired on Disney Plus. Yeah, seven
Yeah.
seasons. And they look to be about, I think, what, about
Fit.
12 episodes per season. Yeah, well,
Mhm.
season one, 22 episodes, season
Mhm.
two, 22, 22, 22, 20.
Yeah. It's
Seasons
gonna.
one through four are 22. Season five is 20. Season six is 13.
Mhm.
And season seven, the last season, is 12 episodes.
Yeah. All
Uh,
right.
Rebels, well, we'll get into. So, if you guys want to do a
Yeah.
little homework, that's what you can do. Check it out. It's all on Disney Plus.
Yeah. I
Uh,
I will. Yeah. I will preface this first. The animation budget for Clone Wars to Rebels is vastly different,
yeah,
mostly because like it wasn't Star Wars wasn't happening at the time still, so. Yeah, that's early 2010s. So
And for those of you who don't know, also there has been some other shows that have come out through animation. We know that Star Wars: The Bad Batch. I don't think it's come out yet. Um,
so
but anyways, eventually we will get to that, but that's going to be down the road. Obviously, 2021 and 2022 sees a lot of stuff coming out for the Star Wars universe. We get to see season 3 of The Mandalorian, which we'll get to. Actually, you know what? Why don't we just do this? Let's kick off the news and notes right now, and why don't we just go off with some information that actually came out in an interview earlier this week with Pedro Pascal, who's still doing some PR work for Wonder Woman 84. By the way, folks, as this podcast records on the 24th of January, that is on Sunday, it is the last day you get to watch Wonder Woman 84 on HBO Max. It will remain in theaters. It has been the #1 movie in the nation since December 25th, and I think it's going to stay that way because, well, no one else is putting movies in the theater. Real quick, kind of a splinter off that news. Sony and Sony completely reshuffled their movie lineup. Whatever is it? The new James Bond movie.
Oh,
is being pushed to October. Morbius is now being pushed to 2022. So, and no word on Venom and Carnage. What I was getting to was Pedro Pascal did kind of hint in an interview earlier this week that Mandalorian season 3, which is scheduled for a November or December release of this year, he kind of hinted at that we will see a time jump for Din Djarin, the Mandalorian. So we do know that Pedro Pascal's titular character, was it Din Djarin? Will return as the Mandalorian. A lot of people were worried that the Book of Boba Fett would be season 3. It's not. That's a completely separate series that will come out in December of this year. So we will get a full-fledged season 3 of The Mandalorian. We do. It's a possibility we could actually see another Mandalorian Civil War because what is it? Oh my gosh, the girl who was after the dark saber.
Bo-Katan.
Desperately wants to regain ownership of the dark saber. I won't say what happens because some of us haven't seen the end of season 2, but it should set up for a very amazing season 3. With that said, Star Wars, God, there's so much crap that's going to happen over the next few years. Real quick before we get any further news and notes, handy dandy remote. We almost forgot to start this shit show. Let's get to play.
Man.
And let's see if where did I last watch this movie? Oh, I haven't watched this movie in a while. So let's get to the 000s. And 3, 2, 1, hit play. There's the Lucasfilm Limited logo. Show me the blue letters for the final time, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And Star Wars.
What took me off? The first freaking script. Look at it. Just look at it. No, not my script. The crawl for the thing. You probably missed it already.
Episode 9, the IX, the first time. Okay, the Rise of Skywalker.
Keep on going.
The dead speak. The galaxy has heard a mysterious broadcast, a threat of revenge in the sinister voice of the late Emperor Palpatine. And JR is out. General Leia Organa dispatches secret agents to gather intelligence, while Rey, the last hope of the Jedi, trains for battle against the diabolical First Order.
So where was that?
Anyways, let's just talk real quick about something positive / negative.
Yeah. Okay.
This is the last time in a movie that we will hear the iconic Star Wars theme, as this was the final movie that John Williams will ever score. He retired shortly after post-production of Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. He said this was his final film. He is in his 80s. John Williams is the modern Mozart. He is the greatest living composer of any music, period. End of story in the world today. You can listen to his greatest hits and not even have to be a movie fan and appreciate it. You can just live it, love it, and just enjoy it. I gotta tell this story real quick.
Mm.
I had a, I took, I worked at a radio station in college. And before that, I'd take some audio engineering classes and stuff like that. So we would go into a recording studio and learn about how they produced music and stuff like that. And I had a teacher, I brought a bunch of my CDs in because we were doing a project on the difference between CDs, cassettes, 8-track, yada, yada, yada. So I brought a bunch of my CDs in and he wanted, this teacher wanted classical music. I didn't have any classical music. The closest thing I had was my greatest hits of John Williams. So I put it in there. First off, this teacher might be the only person on earth who had A, not seen a Star Wars movie, B, not heard the Star Wars theme or anything done by John Williams, or even heard of John Williams for that matter. I played the the easy one was to play the Star Wars theme. I chose to go with Luke's theme, play it, and this teacher was just, oh my God, this just was taken back like they had just heard Bach's second movement for the first time. I mean, it was just, they're so in love. Who is this person? Not wanting to spoil this artist for this teacher, I said, let me record you some music. So I went home and I recorded the March of the Raiders, the Raiders of the Lost Ark theme, Jaws, Home Alone, Saving Private Ryan, Star Wars, Luke and Leia's theme, Duel of the Fates, Across the Stars, a bunch of different music from John Williams's greatest hits. And this teacher said that he sat there just like playing it like they were listening to Mozart or Bach or whatever. And it wasn't until the end of the semester that I told the teacher that this actually was the soundtrack to pop culture movies for the last 40 years. And like, no, you cannot ruin this for me. You cannot. But really, truly, fell in love with John Williams as not a musical composer, not a movie composer, but just simply as a composer. So. My hat's off to John Williams. I hope you enjoy your retirement. And please, for the love of God, anybody who has who's an anti-masker, please stay away from John. Please, just do us all a favor. We're trying to keep JR in a good mood. Speaking of bad news, good news. Microsoft tried to pull a fast one. They tried to dick us out of some money for those of you who still pay Xbox Live Gold. Microsoft tried to up their Xbox Live subscription twofold from $60 to $120. Now, in this day and age, I told JR in the pre-show was that I forgot how much I used to play for Xbox Live Gold. Yeah. And now that I thought about it, I used to pay $60 a year. Now, in this day and age of Netflix and Hulu and all this stuff, $10 a month isn't too unreasonable. And that is, for at least a short period, what Microsoft was charging their fans. They moved their 1 month subscription to $9.99, $10 to $11.
Yeah.
If you prepaid for 3 months, it went from $25 to $30. If you prepaid for 6 months, it went from $40 to $60. And if you prepaid for 12 months, it went from $60 to $120. Now, you're thinking again, prepay for 6 months, not a bad deal. $10 a month. But then JR's right. I don't remember paying that much money for Xbox Live. And
it's their help, man. I was a massive I used my Xbox 360. I would probably say more so than my PS3 at the time back in the day, specifically because of Xbox Live. And I got heavy into online gaming since then. And I don't remember. I remember paying somewhere around the ballpark of $40 to $50 for it, right? Yeah. And so the $60, I do know that the $60 uptake came within the last generation, PS4 specifically, PS4, Xbox One generation, where they raised their prices from $50 to $60, and Microsoft's, I guess, their excuse or their example of saying that the reason why the price hikes are justified was because, like, oh, we're trying to equal out the market. Where we haven't raised our prices for these live services in so long, is that, oh, this is what this worth now, right? $120 for a year, right? And that's to say that because they of all the value the value, quote unquote, they would have because of, like, Xbox, their Xbox ecosystem live, their I forget what it's called. Not Xbox Live, but it's the other one where you get a bunch of free games when you pay a subscription for it.
Oh,
Yeah, we talked about it a couple podcasts ago. I think, like, maybe a couple months ago, and I was talking about it, and it's a great value, but no, it's just this crazy thing where you're already paying basically a video game for a year subscription of online for online service for online internet that you have already, and it was it was met with very swift and very fast rebuke, really hard rebuke from the internet. And yeah, it was a sight to behold, how people were saying that, oh snap, like, really, I gotta, to play my free to play game, I gotta pay my internet again, type of stuff, right? And it was funny. It was funny. A lot of players on Xbox, they play Fortnite, they play Call of Duty, they play Modern Warfare, basically, right? That's the biggest game out right now, Modern Warfare. It's a
oh yeah.
free to play game. It's a free to play game. You could download the Modern Warfare portion of the game onto your console, onto your PC for free, and the only thing you got to worry about is your internet, basically. And so when Microsoft try to put that behind a paywall, it was met with heavy criticism.
Yeah.
And yeah, it took them about a day or so to a day of self-reflection and the internet just harassing them, basically, for their decisions. Say, oh yeah, we kind of screwed up, and they stopped. Yeah, that's it's yeah.
It's one of the one of the few things
Mhm.
that, because really and truly, I mean, if you handle it the right way, um, it's one of the few ways that you can properly use social media.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
one of the, growing up, the only way you could get direct, use Star Wars for example, you wanted to contact directly Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, or Harrison Ford
Mhm.
or whatnot. You wrote them a letter, and most likely had to go through their agent, had to go through their publicist, had to go through the studio. But that's how it was handled. Now you just go, you know, at Mark Hamill,
Yeah,
and you can send him a message. He doesn't have to respond to you. But with that, as Uncle Ben would say, with great power comes great responsibility. And unfortunately, the world has not handled its great power with great responsibility across the board,
yeah,
just from top to bottom.
yeah,
But in cases like this, when businesses adopted social media, because it was at Jr. Cabacungan, it was at, in this case, Voice of Reason 20, whatever. It was at a
mm,
person. When businesses adopted at Microsoft, at Xbox Live, at Bill Gates. No, when businesses adopted, we're going to use social media for our business. You opened up a Pandora's box of what some may construe as bullying, but really and truly, it is a direct to commerce
yeah,
message board,
yeah,
or message saying, pardon my French, fuck you. No, we're not doing this. And
no,
it was the
absolutely.
ability to, because if Microsoft were to do it the old fashioned way, they would wait for quarterly numbers to come in. That means they're going to wait anywhere from 30 days, 30 to 90 days. They're going to wait most likely for quarterly numbers to sit in, because they're going to wait for people. If they did this if they did this 20 years ago when they first announced the Xbox, they would have waited, like, well, let's see what happens. Maybe they
Yeah,
won't. And you might have a few people who are, fuck you, Microsoft. We're not going to pay $120 a year. And then 30 days later, you get something like, well, I kind of miss playing Modern Warfare. You know what? I'm gonna do it for a month. Here, take my credit card. Take my. It's $10. I just won't buy a lotto ticket this month. And then at the end of the 2 months, their plan is, well, they'll forget about the subscription they signed up for, and there's the second month. So with that, they would wait for those quarterly numbers to kick in. Now with the social media, people, you see screenshots of people going, "Fuck you, I canceled my subscription," blah 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 blah. And again, it's helped and hindered commerce. It does open the Pandora's box to quote unquote cyberbullying, people being dickheads, a la the a-holes that bullied what's her name, the host of the High Republic podcast for StarWars.com that we saw earlier this week. Just that's a whole nother story we can get. That's almost like a what's her name? That's almost like a Rose hashtag save Rose path. We're not going to get to, but
I'm pretty sure majority of us know that the internet is a very wondrous and horrendous place to be in. But and that is definitely the risk that a lot of sensible, quote unquote, sensible adults people take when they step foot in it. And so absolutely, like,
and I've benefited from it. At Frontier Communications, your service sucks. What can you do to help me?
That's basically that's the age in which we live in, where we can call upon our freaking companies and not have to wait on a phone for 15 to 20 to 30 hours upon hours, and to voice our displeasure. And this specifically, when I'm not a huge fan of mob mentality type of things, but like when it comes to certain regards, specifically in this, where you see this horrendous freaking hike of basically a twofold from a $60 unit to $120, that should have some type of proper what's the biblical term I'm looking for? a type of proper like anger within you, like, okay, this is abhorrent, this is horrendous, this is type of like price hike. Like, you want to double our rate on top of paying for on top of paying having us pay for internet regardless anyway. And not only that, but a lot of people also, a lot of fans of Xbox already have also pointed the fact that, like, well, one, there's not really that many games to play on Xbox right now anyway. I can't get an Xbox Series X, because of scalpers and all these other things. And also the biggest thing involved too is, like, you're doing this in the middle of a pandemic. Are you serious? You want me to take $120 out of my budget already that's shortened during this pandemic? And so a lot of this,
and they were banking on that right there. They were banking on it's the pandemic. They're banking on people staying at home. Like, hey, let's take advantage of it, and let's see. People are going to go like, I ain't going anywhere anytime soon. But it'd be different if we got our $2,000 check. But,
when that hopefully eventually comes through.
Hey, but at freaking Chuck Schumer, at Nancy Pelosi, my homeboy over here needs some stimulating. Okay,
you should
add. He needs some stimulating. Give him his money.
You should have added freaking what's his name? Fucking the old Senate Republic the Senate.
He's out now. He fucked us on the last one. So
he's been fucking us the last two turns when it comes to, but that's beside the point. Inevitably, we're gonna get our 2K if you got your $60.
As Rihanna would say, Mitch better have my money.
Mitch.
My homeboy needs a hookup, dude.
So here's the thing: if you got your $600, guys, okay, this is a political we'll get today. If you got your $600, right, you're gonna get your your 1,400, because that's a 2,000 that they're gonna say. So when that happens, guys, we're gonna have our money, and make sure you keep that freaking money, and hopefully it lasts you a little bit.
Yep.
Unlike these bastards at Xbox that try to pull a fast one on y'all.
But there is some good news. It looks like there is some good news on the horizon from the video game standpoint. By the way, we are at the moment where the Rey is just sees the Falcon on fire, and now she's going to go to the Jedi textbooks, and I'm lost already. Resident Evil 8 Village showcase live streamed on the 21st. It
Yep.
will release on May 7th on the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series lineup. Uh, Xbox, when JR says Xbox Series, I mean the Series S and the Series X,
Mm-hmm.
pardon me, the Xbox One and PC. That's the
Mm-hmm.
nice thing about Res Evil is it is still very much a PC embedded video game series and franchise.
Yeah, it has
Matter,
been. Yeah, it has been
it
the
has
last
been
couple of years.
recently.
Yeah, it has been the last couple of years. Yeah.
It's a direct sequel to the Res Evil 7 that was released a couple of years ago. The main title iteration puts the gamers back in the role of the titular main character Ethan years after the events of the previous game. Longstanding fan favorite Chris Redfield reappears in Ethan's life, bringing forth a chain of events that lead Ethan to a remote village in Romania, as
Ye-
my boy JR so eloquently stated in our notes. This iteration of the series continues to moving away from the traditional formula of third-person zombie combat from previous entries before Resident Evil 7 to a
Mhm.
first-person perspective and a heavy emphasis on gothic horror elements and setting. So when people say about third person, it is
Yeah.
that old school kind of approach where the camera is behind the
Yep.
character roaming. So you see the full body, you see the full
Yep.
artwork. And I really think that this series and probably, I mean, third person has been around for years. I mean, technically,
Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers was
Yep.
third person, but really and truly, what series made this famous was probably the early iterations of Res Evil
Yeah.
and probably Tomb Raider,
Uh,
because Tomb Raider was third person.
you're talking about third person perspective.
Just yeah, that third person that we know of. Here's the person. If you're watching the YouTube channel, and the camera is
Oh,
back here, and so you're seeing behind instead of like a Call of Duty. When you see
yeah.
when you hear of a first person, you are
Yeah.
the eyes, and
Yeah.
you see the hands and
Yeah.
the gun in front of you. That's the typical Call of
Yeah.
Duty format.
Yeah. Well, I would probably say that yeah, Tomb Raider definitely the first iterations actually of Resident Evil 1 and 2 and I think was 3. Yeah, and even 3 was actually they were yeah, I would say third person but at the same time they were fixed cameras. If you remember in some of the older games
Yeah,
on PS1, they were fixed cameras. And so I would probably say yeah, definitely in that time frame Tomb Raider had a bigger implementation of third person. I would say probably um the best game to put that fourth right was probably Grand Theft Auto when they did Grand Theft Auto 3.
yeah.
Yeah,
Grand
it was
Theft Auto 1 and 2 was right up was above.
top down. Yeah, top down little game. And yeah, Grand Theft Auto 3 just basically changed everything. It
Love
changed the landscape for
GT.
everything.
I love GTA 3.
Yeah. But yeah, just Resident Evil 7. No, Resident Evil 7 was probably the first was definitely the first game, the first iteration of a mainline Resident Evil title where they had first person shooter or first person perspective. And and the next game follows that. Just the biggest difference though, specifically from this game now, from its previous game is that it's going gothic horror, which really intrigues me because I'm talking about like they're having vampires, they're having werewolves, they're having witches in this game now, and the live demo that they showed or the gameplay demo that they showed was very much within that gothic horror. You had a lot of these old like these you had Romania, you had the village, you had a lot of like old school village like village setting where it was similar to Resident Evil 4. Yeah, Resident Evil 4, which had Chris, which was yeah, Resident Evil 4 which was Chris Redfield in the village. It's very similar to that, but then right after that you have this crazy gothic horror scene where you have like this castle which features these like witches and vampires in it too. So it looks really good, man. It intrigued me. It's very different, I will say, but as long as I get my same plugs of Resident Evil 2 remakes and Resident Evil 3 remakes, I'll be fine, dude. So it feels like there's definitely this series now is headed by on two different fronts where we have the newer iteration that feel more Western, and I guess the Japanese original iteration where it's gonna focus more on traditional Resident Evil, which I'm okay with, man. I'm okay with. I'm just hoping to see more of Chris Redfield. I'm hoping to see more of hopefully Leon Kennedy and of course my bae Claire Redfield. So we'll see where's it at. As well as Jill. I love Jill too. So
Yeah. So, you know, I never quite got into Res Evil. I think that at the time when it first came out, was
Mhm.
it like 2000, 2001, or was it before that?
I think like 1990s, bro, like 1995. Yeah.
You know, with me in the late 90s, there was such a battle between CDs
Mhm.
and cartridges. I was on the
Mhm.
side of cartridges. My brother caved, got the original PS1, which actually is in my garage right now.
Mhm.
I actually have my original PS1, I have my original PS2, and we caved. We never got the Sega. We never got Sega CD and stuff like that, but we did get. We were total Nintendo nerds, and
Mhm.
I stuck with the Super Nintendo, and then eventually the N64.
Mhm.
And my brother, nope, nope, I want a PlayStation. He got one for his birthday or something like that, but
Yeah.
um, I just never quite got into those. He played a little bit of Tomb Raider, played Tekken, back in the day. So, but never got into Res Evil. Never really wasn't introduced to Res Evil until they greenlit the movie.
Mhm.
And I went back and was like, "What is this Resident Evil?" Because people keep talking about it being based on a video game, and I went back and did a little research, and like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
And it was really was kind of one of the first games to deal with more kind of dark tones.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
Final Fantasy dealt with just exactly what it says. A lot of fantasy and stuff like that. But zombies, witches, kind of more of the occult style of characters
Yeah.
is what Res Evil was based on. So, like I said, I never got into it. It didn't appeal to me.
Yeah, the current one, the current iteration now from seven onwards, if it deal with more of the occult now.
Yeah,
While actually, I would probably say most of the iterations before seven and eight are actually have to deal with like have a huge emphasis on zombies, a huge emphasis on like biological warfare, a huge emphasis now. Yeah, huge emphasis on like just on yeah, just shady corporations taking forth
yeah.
when you hear of Umbrella, when most people, when they if they're a fan of, if they had a PS1 or if they're a fan of the films, they know what Umbrella Corp is. And so yeah, it's not until recently, the last few iterations, where we have a new look on the occult, where Resident Evil 7 was a different game too. It had monsters. It was about bioterrorism. It was about a little girl who was infected with like these with a certain virus, and she did a lot of
Sounds
crazy
awfully
stuff.
familiar to something I know of right now.
Mm, mm,
Wasn't that what this? So this is where this again shows my naivety.
mm,
When you say the Umbrella Corporation, that is a character, or that is
mm.
a terminology brought from Res Evil.
Yep.
Okay, so that is, for those of you who don't know, obviously there's been a lot of correlation between Res Evil and the laboratory company in Wuhan that may or may not have been experimenting on
Mm,
um, cure for the um, not swine flu, the bird flu, and
yeah.
oops, accidentally created COVID-19. So I know there's been some people that said like
Mm.
their logo looks similar to the Umbrella
Yeah.
Corporation. I don't know.
Mm.
Nonetheless, I know there's a lot of
Uh,
10 foil hat
yeah, I
wearing
mean,
people out there.
yeah, I'm pretty sure we have more. I think we have more Umbrella Corp here in the U.S. than we would probably find
There's so many
elsewhere.
umbrella corporations everywhere.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
would most
just
likely. Yeah, I mean, the CDC has all the viruses in the world. How is that not Umbrella Corp?
yeah.
So, and it's based
Nonetheless,
in Atlanta. But yeah, nonetheless, yeah, the game comes out. It's traditional. It's traditional. It's no, it's the gameplay shows the same mechanics from the previous game. It's not traditional. That it's gonna be more focused on melee as well as like close quarter combats. So that's cool. Yeah, it's gonna have werewolves, vampires, witches. And that's actually gonna be their first time, their first debut in the film, in the series, because we actually see werewolves. We see this huge werewolf. We see witches in it. We see vampire. Uh, we see yeah. I guess a cauldron, or what do you call a group of vampires? I forgot what it's called.
oh hell. I
basically a
forgot.
family of a family of I think vampire women who are located in the local castle of Romania, because of course there's a castle in Romania somewhere. But yeah,
A
it
a sparkle of
uh, what
a sparkle of vampires. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, the demo cool enough, the demo has been released for the PS4, PS5, Sony titles basically, and it's coming with its own iteration of it. Uh it's similar to like what RE7 did with remakes, where with their demos, where it's not you don't really attack in the demos. It's that like it was just weird. It's not the actual game, but it has to do with the game. It's weird. I like that style. And not only that, but like every other platform will have their own specific demo, which will have some tie back into the main game. So that's a cool thing. That's a great thing that I see from the studio that's doing it. And yeah, I'm excited for it, man. I can't wait to basically play it on my PS5. So which I'm gonna get eventually, guys. So yeah.
Now it brings us to our next point,
Mm-hmm.
and that is, oh boy, big O, and I emphasize the word big, trailer
Mm-hmm.
was announced
Yes, it
today,
was.
my friend. And for those of you who are not in the know of the monster universe, no, this is not some kind of splinter universe of the Pixar universe. It's about Monsters Inc. and stuff like that. No, this is the kaiju universe. This is the the end all, the king of monsters, the Godzilla universe, if I may. We finally got to see our first trailer today during the lead up to the NFC Championship game this morning, and the world has been set on fire and the internet has lost their ever loving mind. The reaction to the trailer is nothing but positive.
Mm-hmm.
However, there is a lot of questions and concerns about the main character in the this iteration in the Godzilla series. Of course, it started with 2000. God dang, when did that come out? 2016.
13? No, I
2016.
think.
Of
Yeah.
course, it featured Bryan Cranston and
Yep.
whatnot. It was the original Godzilla. And then, of course, the sequel, which was Kong Skull Island, featured Brie Larson and Samuel Jackson and whatnot. And it was kind of a modern retelling of the old King Kong movie, much like what I think was Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
No, who?
Yeah. No, 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 no.
No, who did King Kong? That was the guy with the Peter Jackson.
Peter
Peter
Jackson.
Jackson did, which by the way I have on HD DVD somewhere in this house. Um, but basically took a group of people during the Vietnam era to this mysterious island known as Skull Island in the middle of the South Pacific, and they were after Kong. They were after the they don't call them the kaiju. What do they call them in the Godzilla? Oh god, they have
I
a
don't
name for them.
recall. No, because we're dealing with dealing with two different iterations, because Kaiju was specifically Japanese and Kong was always been American
Well, I know,
monsters.
but
So
the the monsters within this monarch, this Godzilla universe that's been
mm-hmm.
created.
They just call monsters, I think.
They called the monsters something. I can't remember what it was.
Hmm.
Of course, then the third movie was Godzilla King of the Monsters, which featured Mothra,
Mm-hmm.
King Ghidorah,
Yeah.
and I always want to say Moltres, but that's actually that's actually
That's
that's
the
Pokemon.
yeah. I know what you're talking
Oh
about.
my
Yeah.
gosh, who is the big Firebird? Because King Ghidorah is the three-headed dragon,
Yep.
and Mothra is
Mothra
the moth,
is the butterfly.
the
Yeah.
butterfly,
The moth. Yeah.
and then the I'm gonna look it up, and I'm gonna be pissed when I look it
Yeah.
up. But
I'm actually doing the exact same thing right now. Actually, I'm just King of Monsters. Here you go. But yeah. Uh. That's interesting. I keep on forgetting the names of it too, man. I gotta rewatch it too.
Rodan.
Rodan. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we had Mothra, Rodan, and the ultimate nemesis, the three-headed King Ghidorah. You know, by the way, for nerds like us, and we're going to show you, I'm going to break protocol and we're going to show you the trailer if you haven't seen it. So screw our sponsors this week. So we're not going to be able to collect any kind of financial gain on this, but whatever. If there was an Academy Award given for the best movie trailer, first off, the original Suicide Squad trailer would have won hands down. If anybody's ever seen that original Suicide Squad trailer with, I think it was Bohemian Rhapsody.
You talking about that was the second one. That was the second one.
Yeah. But I mean, like one of the original Suicide. Great trailer. The original Infinity War trailer. Oh my gosh, the original Endgame trailer was mind blowing. But nothing, and I swear nothing compares to the original trailer for Godzilla King of the Monsters. It had a great melodic sound in the background, almost kind of like it was this 17th century period piece. It was, I can't remember who the composer was. If the song, and you just have this very soft song and playing in the background while just crap's getting blown up and stuff's on fire. I'll post that video, that trailer on our Facebook page, but by far one of my favorite trailers. And of course it was punctuated by and I can't think of the actor's name. Let me pull it up.
Millie Bobby Brown.
No. It was one of the male leads.
Oh, you're talking about Ken Watanabe?
No, he's the guy from Game of Thrones. Charles Dance.
Okay.
Charles Dance, for those of you who don't know, he was in Game of Thrones and he played Tywin Lannister. And he's an asshole. He plays an asshole so perfectly. But there's a moment in that trailer. This is, again, we're talking about the King of the Monsters trailer. There's a moment where, again, this song is playing, it's sweet and soft, and Godzilla's blowing shit up, and Mothra's coming to the rescue, and King Ghidorah's ripping crap up, and Rodan is burning stuff on fire, and the character that Charles Dance plays just turns and looks at the camera and goes, "Long live the king." And it was just so funny for those of you who've seen Game of Thrones. It was just a perfect moment. It was a great moment in a great trailer. But with that said, let me bring up share screen. Now, JR, have you seen the trailer?
I have.
Okay. Hold on. I gotta fix this now. I screwed something up.
We can fix it.
There we go. Share sound.
We can fix it in post. Don't worry about it.
This we couldn't, but I fixed it. Okay. So there's my IMDb. You can see, everyone can see my research. You know what I'm doing. JR always talks about, you hear the clickety clack of Kevin. He usually is coming up with something crazy. So while something stupid's happening over here on Rise of Skywalker, let's take a look at the Godzilla vs. Kong official trailer from earlier today. JR and Kevin's reaction.
This is our only chance.
Ooh, we get to see King Kong.
We have to take it.
Warner Brothers. Most hated people in Hollywood.
Kong. The world needs him to stop what's coming.
Hey, what's coming?
And this child.
Monsters.
She's the only one he'll communicate with.
I knew that they had a bond. She had nowhere to go, so I made a promise to protect her.
Now,
and I think that
for
in
those
some way,
watching,
Kong did the same.
The actress that you see there is Rebecca Hall. You might recognize her from Iron Man 3. So here comes Godzilla. All of a sudden, he's the bad guy? What the hell? For those who are watching or listening on the audio, we're seeing Godzilla. Boom! Uppercut.
It's Godzilla.
This is I know right here. This is the part where I know JR got hyped.
These are dangerous times. Godzilla's out there and he's hurting people, and we don't know why.
Is that the first time we've seen Godzilla go to
Something
Japan?
provoking him that we're not
series?
seeing here.
I'm of the same opinion.
No, he wasn't in the first movie.
Oh, was it? Oh, that's right.
There was a war. And they're the last ones standing.
I can't wait to
dance.
play this because I'm built from it.
What we're leading to is
Who bows to who?
Nobody gonna stop me. Here we go.
Kong bows to no one.
oh, I love that line. Boom! And see, everyone who has been kind of, and we're rejoining now, everyone has been kind of saying, like JR even said, he goes, you didn't like the fact that Godzilla is hinted at to be the villain in this movie, where he was actually raised to the level of the hero in
The previous two movies.
in the previous. Well, I mean, he destroys San Francisco in the original movie, but yeah, he was coming to the rescue to save the world from
these two different. Yeah,
the two other monsters. Yeah, and then of course he reigns supreme by taking out Mothra. Well, really, Mothra wasn't really a bad guy. It was kind of like he needed Mothra.
Yeah, the Mothra actually it was weird because in the original kaiju Godzilla flicks from Japan, Mothra was actually, I guess, seen as the deity of Earth too, where you have to switch from which iteration though specifically, but yeah, Mothra was seen as the actual good guy per se. I remember, if I remember correctly, I think Mothra also had like a human figure too, which changed into Mothra eventually.
Yeah,
and so
I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite a while ago, but yeah, Mothra was actually seen through most of the iterations as the actual good guy, because Japan made Godzilla in reaction to them because America dropping the nuclear bombs to them, so that was a reaction to it. But yeah, Godzilla in the last three movies, or two movies specifically, he was seen as the quote unquote good guy. Mothra sacrificed himself in order to help Godzilla have enough power to destroy I forgot his name, Ghidra? Yeah, Ghidra. The final three-headed monster, and then the other monsters bow down to Godzilla, and so that was the biggest thing before. In Godzilla 2014, yeah, he went out and he faced other kaijus. He faced other monsters, and so it's basically Godzilla's thing, where if he protects the world by destroying it at the same time, kind of thing.
Sounds like Ultron.
Yeah, kind of sounds like freaking Power Rangers as well. It's all of it.
And you're right. It was 2014 was the Godzilla, the first one that kind of kickstarted this series. And it was funny.
Let them fight.
I will say this: what was really funny about the 2014, the 2014 Godzilla was who it starred. It starred Aaron Taylor Johnson. For those of you who don't know, he was Kick-Ass originally. Yep. But he also was Pietro Maximoff. He was, he was Quicksilver.
Yep.
And
his wife.
When this movie came out in 2014, Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen played husband and wife. And then they actually technically made their first appearance earlier in 2014 in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, in the post-credit scene as Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, brother and sister. So it was really weird having seen that post-credit scene knowing that the brother and sister, they're in Godzilla. It comes out, they're husband and wife, and then they come out and they're full-fledged brother and sister in Age of Ultron. And yeah, it was a little weird, but
it doesn't really, because like I think around the same time, if for those of us who've watched I think we call it what's that one freaking film with oh man, keep on going. I gotta find it now. I gotta find it. It's a film. Divergent.
Oh,
You ever seen that movie?
okay.
Yeah,
I've heard of
right?
it. I've heard of it.
Yeah, so basically Divergent, it features the main character is forgot her name. She really hasn't done a movie in a minute though, but I'm gonna check it right now. I'm freaking focused on it now. Divergent. It features. There you go. 2014. Yeah, this film came out in 2014, and it features Shailene Woodley, and it also features her brother in the film is let me see, just pure. Ashley Judd is one of them. Where is his name?
Ooh, Maggie Q's in this movie. I like Maggie Q.
Yeah. What's his name?
Ray
there you
Stevenson's in this movie.
Oh, you talking about what's called?
Oh, I'm just looking at the cast and some of the people that I've met. I met Ray Stevenson, of course. Ray Stevenson played, at one point, played the Punisher.
That's right, yeah.
in
Oh, here you go. Here you go.
Wardrobe.
Yeah, here you go. So Shayna Woodley, right, and Ansel Elgort, right? They played brother and sister in this movie, right?
Yeah.
But literally, like maybe a couple years afterwards, in Fault in Our Stars, they played a couple. So it doesn't, it's like, your actors just act. It's whatever. It is weird, but like, and granted, I will say this is a guy who's harping about the movie right now, where they should have played brother and sister, and they're kissing each other on screen.
We're not talking about that movie. It's like Voldemort. We're not. It's he who shall not be named.
Yeah.
I'm looking through what you've got here, and
yeah. So back to Godzilla.
Back to Godzilla. Go ahead. Because I was going to say, let's talk about WandaVision, but you haven't seen WandaVision.
Not yet. No, well, yeah, I haven't watched it. I need to be in the mood to watch it real quick, because I was more so in the mood to watch Mandalorian, which that's the better thing for me. But yeah, just going back to
celebrate. Our homeboy is finally caught up on Mandalorian. Well, sort of.
Sort of. I got a couple more episodes to go. But yeah, Godzilla vs. King Kong. Yeah, there's some stark differences, and I understand that they have to take some accountabilities for it, because one, Godzilla isn't that small, but they did just for the sake of the movie. I understand. I get it. If people remember correctly from the previous films, Godzilla was much bigger than those ships. Much bigger, tremendously bigger. And yeah, he dwarfed, or not dwarfed, but like he was nearly the same size as the Empire State Building, if not even bigger.
Yeah, I mean, he's a building size monster.
Yeah, and in comparisons to, I forget where the final scene took place in Godzilla. I forget which city that was in. I don't know if it was
in the first one.
Yeah, in the very first movie.
San Francisco.
Oh, San Francisco.
It was San Francisco.
Was that the final scene, or was that the beginning? I know it was in San Francisco, but I don't think that was the final scene. Was it?
No, Boston.
Was it Boston?
I believe the final scene of the original. Yeah, because they do something with the Fenway. They do something at Fenway Park.
Really? Was it? Because all I do know is that I know it happened in Hawaii. It happened Japan first, then Hawaii. No, yeah, Japan, Hawaii,
and Vegas.
Vegas. I think it might have, no, I didn't end in Vegas. All I do know is that like there was a huge ass skyscraper that these monsters tossed Godzilla onto. It was a huge skyscraper, and so like that should give you the size and the scale of how large Godzilla is. And yeah, like I understand that we were supposed to have some type of handicap for King Kong, but like when you're also, it's hard for me to believe that when you have thermonuclear breath, right? That you can kind of tank it, but whatever. It's a kaiju versus kaiju film. You're supposed to turn your brain off, so I'm still looking forward to it. Just I want to see how this kind of ends, because they kept on saying that only one will walk away from this. Like, how are you gonna do it then? So we'll see how this goes.
That's yeah, it was
Like,
the last scene in Godzilla was San Francisco.
Okay.
I could have sworn at some point it took place it took place in I thought it took place in Boston, but maybe that was that was like the like another part of the movie. So I'll do a little research, but nonetheless, it looks like a lot of fun. Is it gonna?
Yeah.
It's like the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
And I hate to compare those two franchises, but I can, for the most part, kind of watch these Star Wars movies and be somewhat entertained because they're still Star Wars. They're still playing with the toys that I like to play with. Yeah. But the Godzilla movies, are they cinematic masterpieces? No. Are they?
Except for the originals.
The originals were so far ahead of their game, it wasn't even funny.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the original Godzilla movies. I'm not like a nut like some people are, but I absolutely love it. I mean, Thanksgiving Day, if they're on a marathon, back when I was a kid on KTLA, oh, you better believe I was watching. I was sitting in front of my the TV at my grandpa's house, and I was watching them nonstop. Because I wanted to wait, because they would play them in some kind of order, and I wanted to wait all day long because they would finally play the Godzilla versus King Kong, or I want to see the Mothra one or something like that. So or Mecha Kong, you wanted to see the mechanical or Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love those ones, but these are not Academy Award winning films that we're dealing with, but they are absolutely fun. Matter of fact, Adam Sintos, who's a friend of ours, who's a huge monster fan. He loves these things. As a matter of fact, I traded him some Godzilla comic books from a collection that I acquired a few years ago. And I remember when King of the Monsters came out, he was just like, "Dude, you gonna go see it?" I'm like, "Oh, I can't wait," but just never got around to seeing it in the theater. Eventually saw it on iTunes. But he goes, "It's not a cinematic masterpiece. It's not gonna oh my god, it's gonna whatever. It's fun. It's stupid fun. You get to see crap get blown up for 3 hours, and that's what Godzilla versus King Kong is gonna be. And I just think it's gonna be, it's different, and I love that everyone is shut up, Siri. No one's talking to you. I love that everyone has really stolen the Kevin Feige Marvel Cinematic Universe formula and created this big, huge, overarching storyline from different movies. I know that the Godzilla franchise is more of just that. It's sequels, but you had Kong. I think that they had planned on doing other, and I use the term loosely, kaiju movies. They had thought of doing other monster movies, but then I just kind of condensed it into King of the Monsters. But, I'm geeked. I can't wait for it. I think it's coming out. There wasn't a deadline. I think it just said summer 2021. We do know like everything else with Warner Brothers, it will hit HBO Max on release day, and you better believe I will probably be up at midnight watching this shit. Speaking of Warner Brothers, sticking right with the home of Zack Snyder, I guess. Superman and Lois, the trailer for the new season, was released this past Friday. I did not see it, which is funny because I'm a Superman fan. It is a 2-hour, of course, trailered the 2-hour premiere that will release on February 23rd. And as JR put it, very cinematic. And the Arrowverse has been just that. The Arrowverse has really stepped up its game on its cinematic presentation. And I know that this iteration of Superman and Lois, they're going a different direction with the multiverse in the quote Arrowverse.
Hmm.
But for those who don't know, this iteration of Superman and Lois is the one that appeared, I believe, in Crisis on Infinite Earth. And I believe specifically this is the Superman that appeared in the Supergirl series, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Yep. It's the
Jerry,
it's
you saw this. Take us into
it's-
the Lois and the new adventures.
Yeah.
of Lois and Clark.
Don't call. No. Let's not do that. Don't stop. You're already ruining my mood. No, but like, yeah, the trailer. No, when I say cinematic, I mean it looks like they gave them at least a couple million to play with, way more
Oh,
than this
yeah.
normal budget. Like if you just no, they gave them money. Like it feels like a cinematic movie. It's a 2-hour thing, and I'm hoping it runs all the way through, and it feels very much in the realm of Zack Snyder tone. Like if it feels like if Zack Snyder still kept Man of Steel and ran its way through and did a trilogy but didn't do Batman versus Superman. Like if Lois got with Clark, got married, they got tired of the city life, went down to the family farm and lived there, but then still had the same budget. That's what it felt like. Like it very very much felt like, oh snap, he got older, he got more wise. That jawline looks freaking amazing on the actor. He looks like Superman to me. There's some parts that I was kind of iffy, like he's in outer space, right? And he's dealing with the big bad of the movie. But other than that, dude, it looks really freaking good. It's surprising because it's on CW, and the CW Crisis on Infinite Earths events, or even in their past co-events that they had together, the CGI is what you expect from a TV show. But dude, like this specific trailer, it had Clark lifting up multiple metal beams and just tossing him in the farmhouse. They showed multiple stuff of him. It looks good. It looks super cinematic. And I can't wait for it, man. It releases on the 23rd of February. and it feels like they're trying to do Superman justice, which I applaud. And it feels like more hopeful. It feels more of Man of Steel in the sense of like he's trying to be hopeful. He's trying to earn that symbol, and less of Batman vs Superman, where it was the grumpy Superman. I'm doing all these good things for these people, and they're just being they don't like it. It's stuff like ungrateful type of thing. So yeah, I can't wait. It looks good. I'm hoping they do do a certain callback to Supergirl, or some other, or even to some of the other Arrowverse characters. But other than that, man, yeah, I'm cool. I'm digging it. It's definitely gonna be my definitely watch the list on that February. On February 23rd.
I'm taking a look at the trailer right now.
Mhm.
And yeah, I do see where JR is talking about very cinematic, but again, this is where they've really had to step up their game. And and kind of like I said, they know that there is a reputation on the line when it comes to this universe that has been set up. Now we do know, for those who have Superman and Lois, yeah, I like it. It's simple. It is very much in the vein of Arrowverse. Obviously, it's the people who produced, who are producing this show are those who produced Flash, which I know also is coming to an end in the Arrowverse, and we're really seeing the new crop of superhero characters. We're gonna see Superman and Lois. We get the new Batwoman, which is replacing, was it Ruby Rose? No, what's her name? Yeah, Ruby Rose.
Yeah, Ruby Rose. Yeah.
So it's an African American Batwoman. It's a completely different character. It's not. They're not recasting. They're not rebooting. It's going to keep going. And I like when they do that. I like when they go, we're not going to screw with the fans. Okay, We get it. Ruby Rose didn't know what she was getting herself into. She didn't know the schedule that she was getting into. The fan scrutiny, which I don't think why anybody would have any scrutiny. I enjoyed what little I did see of Batwoman. It told the greater overarching story necessary for this greater Arrowverse. And by the way, if you have not seen the Crisis on Infinite Earth, I highly recommend it. You don't even have to be heavily invested in the Arrowverse to understand the goings on. And they do a great job at telling the story, because for those who know, the 5-part series that made up Crisis on Infinite Earths was actually actually exactly what DC used to do. Now, DC, when they wrote Crisis on Infinite Earth, it wasn't at its own standalone. How many books? 10 books. Call it more or less. It was its own event book. What DC has since adopted, unlike Marvel, is they tell the story, a huge story arc within their own books. Okay, Action Comics is going to tell part 1. The Flash is going to tell part 2. Green Arrow is going to tell part 3. They've really adopted that kind of storytelling within the main continuity of their books. When I read Death of Superman, they didn't have a Death of Superman event book. It was Action Comics. It was started with the death issue was Superman 75, and it was Man of Steel, Adventures of Superman, Action Comics, The Flash, Justice League, Green Arrow, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. So they tell us, right, that's what they did with Crisis on Infinite Earths with this Arrowverse, and I really enjoyed it. They tie everything together, and they made actually reference to the Snyderverse, or the DCEU was a part of this multiverse. So it tied where Marvel has really kind of hiccuped with their TV and their movie side. DC kind of stepped up and literally had 2 different Flashes. They had the 2 different Flashes on the screen at the same time. And I really, spoiler alert, sorry. I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, this might actually get me to come back to the, and I use the term loosely just because when I reference the Arrowverse, I'm talking about the CW DC storyline, so to speak. But no, JR, you nailed it. This is very
it looks like a 2-hour movie. Yeah, it looks like a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Very Man of Steel. That movie I didn't like the first time out. Went back, rewatched it, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, other than
I mean, the few core things that makes Superman. Other than those, other than
I think
those
I
things thrown out.
I think it still might actually be my favorite DCEU movie. I think it's number 1, and I think Wonder Woman's number 2. But we'll go down that path another time. So check it out. We'll post that video on our Facebook page as well.
Hey Kevin.
Yes, sir.
All this talk about Marvel and all this talk about superheroes, man, it kind of makes me not want to talk about it. But you know what I do want to talk about, Kevin?
Yes, sir. What you want to talk about? You want to
talk about the Russos?
Talk about the Russos.
Yeah, man. The Russos. They're expanding.
They're building something.
They're building something, man, and they're taking their Marvel ties and Marvel input of understanding, storylines and how to set up a universe into their own projects, man. And what they're doing is actually quite amazing, because they're trying to expand the current Extraction universe. If you guys who don't know, they made a movie called Extraction, which came out on Netflix about a year ago now, or maybe just a year ago. And that's studied by Joe Russo. They're actually trying to find more interesting ways to tell these stories and cross-pollinate them. We're big fans of just forging new paths narrative. I think what makes that a compelling element to the Extraction universe is it is a global franchise telling global stories, and we like to diversify the point of view in those movies. So it's looking like they're trying to take the Marvel formula and have it more so in the scheme of like I guess a Merc type of a universe or type of like these storylines where you would have like that Merc for Hire or some type of Hitman s type of movies, man. I'm actually enjoying that because this type of film, specifically Extraction, and the same, it's also the same studio that did Old Guard. They're looking for
I haven't seen that. I need to see that.
gotta watch it, dude. They're looking for definitely a closer screen type of like intense action oriented type of feel, and I like that. Extraction, of course, is a live adaptation of the graphic novel Ciudad, which came out. I think the graphic novel came out years ago, and the sequel has been greenlit because of the initial release and success of of the movie that came out on Netflix. And so that's great. That's cool. It's fun. It is cool to see the Russos basically just be given a green light on stuff that is outside of Marvel. That like when you I understandably so that when you're part of Marvel, when you're part of Disney, there are certain guidelines you gotta focus on, right? One, you can't have the good guys shoot up people. You can't have them kill people outright. You can't have them, do horrible and horrendous things like the things that Chris Hemsworth did in Extraction, which is freaking amazing. And I hope for more of that. And also the cool thing about it too, man, is that the Russos are also flexing their muscles and their MCU connections because they're also adding a lot of Marvel superheroes onto further projects, my guy.
Yeah, I haven't quite seen the trailer from beginning to end, but
Mm-hmm.
I just read a little bit about Cherry, which features
Mm-hmm.
Tom Holland in a very not Tom Holland uh, sort of
Film. Yeah.
role and film.
Mm-hmm.
And let me get to my notes on this movie
Mm-hmm.
and tell you a bit about it. Like I said, I have not seen the trailer yet. Cherry is an army. It features, like I said, Tom
Yep.
Holland. It also is
Army
starring
vet.
Sierra Bravo
I think
as
so.
the
Yeah.
two lead characters. Notes on this: an army medic suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder becomes a serial bank robber after an
Mm-hmm.
addiction to drugs put him in debt. Of
Opioids.
course,
Yep.
it is directed by Anthony and Joe Russo,
Mm-hmm.
and it is going to be hitting theaters on February 26th.
Yep.
Now, here's the thing, JR, about this.
Mm-hmm.
This not only is Joe and Anthony Russo flexing their post MCU muscles,
Mm-hmm.
but have you looked at what studio is distributing this movie?
Is it their studio? Isn't it? It's their.
Oh, this is an Apple original
Oh, that's
film.
right. That's right. I totally
Apple
forgot.
is
Yeah.
distributing Cherry.
That's
So
right.
what that means is that this movie will get to see a cinematic release,
Mm-hmm.
and no Disney, no 20th Century Fox fanfare. Don't get to see the Warner Brothers Shield. No Legendary. No
Mm-hmm.
Universal Studios. Uh, Earth with the ring around it. No, it's just it's the Apple Plus logo coming up that you will see. Of course, this movie will also find its way to Apple TV Plus
Mm-hmm.
sometime in February. It will get a theatrical release. Of course, obviously in the COVID-19 era, it will be a limited release.
Yep.
But man, I'm telling you, quietly, Apple is building its not a nice little library of movies and
Mm-hmm.
original content. Now, we mentioned a couple of weeks ago that MGM is very much still in the hunt to sell itself, and one of the leading bidders on the library of movies that MGM will offer is Apple. Apple wants to have a deep theatrical library to help bolster its already kind of slowly inflating kind of collection of movies and original series. Of course, they have the morning show, which is in production right now for season 2. They have For All Mankind. They have the movie featuring Chris Evans, Saving My Son or something like that.
Yeah.
They got some Snoopy and all kinds of stuff. They have They got a couple other movies, but
Yeah, they got a bunch of shows that they're definitely trying to flex, and they're definitely trying to make their presence known in the game here.
this is massive.
Yeah, that's
This
massive, man.
this is massive. So
So
best of luck to the Russos. Best of luck to
Yeah.
Tom Holland and Apple. And
the other, yeah, I do know they have another project coming out too, man. Which features an actual novel that came out in 2009 from Mark Rainey called The Gray Man.
yeah, this
And-
looks interesting. Hell of a cast.
Yeah, man. It features Chris Evans, Tom Holland. No, not Tom Holland. Chris Evans. It's not Tom Holland. I actually put that wrong. It's Chris Evans, Charlize Theron, and I think the
I'll pull it
other Gosling. What's his name?
Ryan
Ryan
Gosling.
Gosling. Ryan Gosling. Yeah, not Tom Holland. Ryan Gosling. So it's definitely interesting cast. Really, really star-studded cast. So it's I think it's supposed to come out in possibly 2 years from now or so. if I remember
Hell, I don't
correctly.
even see it on IMDb yet.
Yeah, Gray Man. I put Gray Man, Chris Evans. The Gray
Oh,
Man.
I think
Chris
it's
Evans.
because I typed in The Gray Man.
Yeah, you're right. The Gray Man. The Gray Man, Chris Evans. I think they just got recently announced for it. That's why. But there is a film cast for it. It features Ryan Gosling, as I said before, Chris Evans, Charlize Theron, and a couple other characters there too that have yet to actually fully flesh out their staff. But yeah, from what I'm hearing and from what I'm seeing is that the film should come out probably the next year or so. So yeah, the
Oh, I typed
Russos
in
are
Gray wrong. That's right.
so yeah, definitely the Russos are definitely being busy right now outside the MCU. I'm pretty sure when they inevitably returns to the MCU, they're gonna have a lot of fun too. But then it's just really cool to see this again, this brand of closeness and togetherness, where like you have reputation for yourself and you want people to, and you have like these actors who want to continue to follow you in other works. And so you have Russos with Tom Holland. They have Extraction, the franchise going on with Thor. You have Chris Evans. You have Iron Man coming back, possibly doing in the movie Gray Man, which is it kind of a spy, not spy movie, but like it has to deal with subterfuge and I guess Matt Greeny does a lot of those movies. No, Mark Greeny. I apologize. But yeah, it's a feeling that it's just crazy how all this kind of just works back together of how the Russos just over the last couple of years have really made a great reputation for themselves, and now they have a lot of weight to their name where they can cast Captain America, they can cast freaking Tom Holland, they can cast just whoever just do films with them.
Well, they want to work with them because they're great storytellers. I mean, the Russos, though they maybe aren't officially credited for writing the script for movies like Civil War, Captain America: Winter Soldier, Endgame, and Infinity War, but they do such a great job at putting taking the work that's put on page and putting it on the big screen. So I mean, they very much should be accredited of being great storytellers, and that's just what they are. And they've proven themselves in the past to be good writers. I mean, I believe they wrote and directed episodes of
Parks
and Rec. They also did that. What's that show with? Oh God, no, I can't think of it.
It's too late at night.
It's making me think, and I'm ignoring this. We are finally on the planet where they have the crashed Imperial ships and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, okay, that one. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So let's see. Moving along though, talking about the Russos, let's talk a little bit about the MCU. Let's get into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It has been a busy week for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as people are itching to know what Marvel is going to do with Black Widow. Is it still going to make its appearance in May? Are they going to crack and do what Warner Brothers did and put out their big movie, their big tentpole feature film that has been pushed back now almost 12 months and put it out on Disney Plus? Are they going to do the Mulan approach and put it out on Premiere Access or whatever it is? We don't know, but we do know is down under Thor: Love and Thunder is in production. Initial filming began on for the fourth film.
Begin this week.
Actually, we'll start this week. I know they've been doing kind of some pre-production and whatnot,
Yeah.
building sets and meeting with actors and stuff. We'll start this week. Thor himself revealed via Instagram that after his vacation in Lord Howe Island, he is set to take his role as the God of Thunder for the 10th time. Let me see. He appeared in Thor. He appeared in Avengers.
Avengers. After that, then Thor 2.
Then Thor 2.
Yeah. And then
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron, and then
Thor 3.
Yeah, Thor 3. And then and then both movies of
Infinity War and Endgame.
Endgame. But he was also in I think he was in Doctor Strange.
He was in Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange for a cameo. And then I'm missing that's 8. I'm missing one more. Oh man, you gonna make me look for it, aren't you? You made me look for it.
And see, I'm the Marvel guy, and I'm trying to think of where else he's made his appearance.
Yeah, I went through his filmography just before we actually said it, but let me just try.
Either way, I mean, he has proven himself to be kind of the Renaissance man of this franchise, really able to do a lot of things, and the cool part about this is, and we talked a little bit about this last week with the potential of Chris Evans coming back to play Steve Rogers, so to speak, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
We forgot Thor 3.
I thought I said Thor 3, but nonetheless.
No, we forgot. We literally just forgot Ragnarok, but it's fine.
Anyways, Jamie Alexander, who really has been the glue, the kind of the missing link, so to speak, that connects the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the Marvel TV universe. Of course, Jamie Alexander appeared as Sif, member of the Warriors 3, twice in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She is rumored to be returning as Sif. Of course, she has not been seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe since Thor: The Dark World. She did not appear in Thor Ragnarok.
Nope.
She was the only sole survivor of the Warriors 3. Of course, we saw all 3 male members of the Warriors 3 be killed by Hela in that franchise, and this was met with a lot of dismay from the fans, because they were just handled so just dismissive almost, and not even given a proper burial, almost, so to speak. But which was quite subversion. It was definitely a director approach for the thing. So, but it sucks seeing those actors go, because I love those actors. Specifically the I forgot his name, the Japanese actor who played forgot his name. I will look it up, sir.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now too, actually. But because the Japanese actor, he's actually pretty freaking famous. Hogan, right? He played Hogan, but his name is Tadanobu Asano, and he's actually one of my favorite Japanese actors, because he's been in a lot of films that I love specifically. And some of these films, like at the end of the universe, he was in that movie. He was in a bunch of other ones that I have. Satoichi. He was in 13 Ronin, I think, if I remember correctly. But yeah, he's a legend. He's a legend in the Japanese cinema game, and just to have somewhat in a to have some form of too. Yeah, he was Battleship.
I actually enjoyed that movie. He was most recently in Midway, the remake.
Oh, snap! He's on the Radio Roll comment. Let's go! I love it. Okay, I'm looking up some stuff.
So okay, JR's awake now. He's already ready to go, because we're gonna try to avoid what's coming next. Yes, he was in 47 Ronin right after Thor: The Dark World. He was, along with Ray Stevenson and Jamie Alexander, the only 3 repeat members of Sif and the Warriors 3. Of course, they recasted. They recasted the role of Fandral in the second movie and brought in.
It was
it was Shazam.
Yeah, it was Shazam. That's right.
And what was funny was he was originally casted to be God, I can't think of his name now. I'm going to look it up here in just a second. But the guy who
Thor. Yeah.
The guy who played Fandral. God dang it. Where is he? Just go here, Thor Ragnarok. Trying to pull it up. I cannot believe I completely forgot this guy's name. I guess I could just look him up. He's Chuck.
Yeah. That's right. He was Chuck. But yeah, he was
Zachary Levi. Zachary Levi.
Yeah. He was meant to. I think he went for the role of Thor.
He was casted. Well, no. He was casted to be Fandral. He was casted to be that role, but let's see. Thor began shooting in. The first one was in like 2010 or something. Anyways, Chuck premiered in 2007. They began casting some of the roles way earlier than that, but he passed on doing the role of Fandral to do Chuck. And then by the time Thor: The Dark World came around, Chuck had already ended. I think it was like in 2011, and he was recast. They threw out the old actor. They brought in Zachary Levi to play it.
Yeah.
And supposedly, the reason that they killed him off in Thor Ragnarok was because he had signed on with DC to play Shazam, and they couldn't have him playing a role in both movie franchise in both universes. It should be interesting. I liked Jamie Alexander. Go back to the original. I really enjoyed Jamie Alexander. I've had a huge woman crush Wednesday on Jamie since the first time I saw her. I thought she nailed the character. She had that. She's kind of like Gina Carano. She can play that kind of in between where she's a fabulous actor. Jamie, that is. Gina Carano's got some work. She's really kind of super surprised me. Yeah. But Jamie Alexander, professionally trained actress.
Yeah.
She is very talented. She comes across as someone you do not want to mess with. She is a physical specimen. She's funny. She's intimidating. And damn, she's sexy as hell. But she really does nail the character because that's exactly what it was in the movie. And they don't overtly shove the love relationship or the hinted love relationship between Sif and Thor that I believe was early on, and if I'm not mistaken, was like in the early comics. Was there a relationship between the two of them, or
still? Actually, it's been a long going relationship with them ever since the beginning. Yeah,
and I know that it was great about it, and it was kind of teased a little bit in Dark World was the fact that Sif and Jane Foster do not get along.
Yeah,
and so it'd be interesting to see when Natalie Portman comes back as Jane Foster. Obviously, we know that they're going to adapt the Jason Aaron storyline of Natalie Portman's Jane Foster becoming the goddess of thunder. Oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my mind when they show that first trailer because I hope to God they do. I hope to Odin that they do her look justice. Most specifically, they have to put the mask on. They have to do that mask.
I was wondering if they're gonna blonde her.
What's that?
I'm wondering if they're gonna blonde her.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because Natalie Portman is naturally brunette, So I wonder if they're gonna like give her long blonde hair, even though in the films, canonically now in the films MCU she's had brown hair. She's been a brunette, which I'm fine with. But I'm just wondering if they're gonna blonde her, if they're gonna go that route, if they're gonna if they're gonna find the canonical version from the comics as the look for Thor, Goddess of Thunder.
Well,
We'll see
and
how it
it
goes.
should be noted that it has come out and said that they are very much going to be sticking with the Jason Aaron storyline. For those of you who, again, JR and I have beat this horse to death over the last 6 months. The kind of the man crush that we have on Jason Aaron as a writer, not as much as JR has on Donny Cates, but he wrote the hell out of those two Thor runs.
Yeah.
Of course, the Mighty Thor, or first off, he just did Thor, I think, which was Thor Volume 5, I believe.
Somewhere around that long, yeah.
And then it is the Mighty Thor, which is
Current
where she
run.
got her main run.
Yeah.
And I
Current
think that
run
is
for her.
actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's the first time that they acknowledged that Jane Foster is the Goddess of Thunder.
I think around at like issue 6 it happened.
Yeah.
Because
And-
for a very long time they kept that very hush hush.
Now,
So-
for those of you who don't know, who haven't watched the shows in the past, maybe I'll scroll through for the YouTube side. I'll scroll through our past episodes and connect the link to that episode that we did talk about Jason Aaron's run. But for those of you who are joining us for the first time, who Jason Aaron is, he's a comic book writer for Marvel, and he wrote 2 parts of Thor back in like 2014, 2015.
I would say
Around-
earlier 2000. Yeah, I would say earlier 2010s until possibly his last run, and I think ended 2018.
Yeah, and he did a couple of versions of Thor. He did he did Unworthy Thor.
Yes, he did. That was a good run.
That was a great story.
That was a
which
good
was
miniseries.
loosely adopted for Ragnarok.
Yep.
And let's see, Thor. I'll look it up right now. Let's see, the Thor run that I have. I got to look it up on CLZ here. Thor Volume 4 is the Jason Aaron run that began in December of 2014.
Yeah.
Now, the first appearance of Goddess of Thunder is not in Thor 1.
Mhm.
It is actually in Original Sin.
Yeah. Original Sin.
The last page of the last episode.
Yeah, I think so. It was. Yeah. They do a cameo of her, but they don't show her. They don't show who she actually is. That's the thing.
Yeah. For those of you who don't, real quick story. And they have talked about this is how they're going to use Jason Aaron's run. Original Sin was a really kind of a civil war between the characters and Nuatu.
It's no. I think Nuatu died.
That's
I'm trying to
what it
figure
was.
out. Yeah, Nuatu died. And they're trying to figure out who he was.
He was murdered.
Yeah, he was murdered by spoiler alert. He was murdered by he was murdered by Samuel Jackson.
He was murdered by Nick Fury.
He was murdered by Nick Fury. Yeah, not Samuel Jackson, but Nick Fury.
But
yeah,
he was last page of the last issue. Someone whispers. No, it's Nick Fury whispers something into Thor's ear. Thor Odinson, the character that we know of Thor, long blonde hair. Yeah. He whispers something into his ear, and he immediately drops Mjolnir. He is no longer worthy to hold Mjolnir. It has never been addressed.
No. It's been addressed.
It's never been addressed.
It's been addressed.
It has been addressed. Okay.
It's been. I think it's been addressed in Unworthy Thor. Yeah.
I didn't think it was in that one. I was waiting for it. I thought we read it.
Yeah. I think it was the Unworthy Thor or somewhere else where it was basically he said that Gore was right. I think it was that one correctly. Gore was right.
And of course, Gore is Gore the god, the god killer.
Yeah, that he basically said that the only reason why you're a god is you have people who pray to you. That's what Gore's whole thing, right? And that's the reason why Gore is butchering all the gods, because you're nothing without your followers, type of thing.
Could we? Oh God, dang! gonna. Oh my gosh, this could end up being. Oh, because think about it, Gore is the main villain in Love and Thunder. So many things is being adopted for this movie.
Yeah.
And like I said, going back, so Thor drops the hammer. He's no longer worthy.
Yep.
Inevitably cuts his hair, and they adopted the unworthy Thor storyline where he cuts his hair, and that he no longer could hold Mjolnir. It was a little bit different twist, but
he's also armless. He's also. I'm hoping they go armless on him too. Where like he lost an arm because of it, right?
Yeah. Well, you know, he loses his eye, but then he gets it back. In the in Ragnarok and then in Infinity War.
Yeah.
But no, so he drops the hammer, and then a mysterious figure. This is all taking place on the moon base, right?
Yeah, on the moon. Yeah.
And so a mysterious figure swoops in, picks up Mjolnir, and I think it makes a cameo of a female version of Thor, and then it immediately goes into the storyline and stuff like that. We inevitably find out that it's Jane Foster. She's dying of breast cancer, and she's going through chemo to try to save herself, but she is called upon by Mjolnir to become the goddess of thunder, and she is stuck with the ultimate ultimatum, and that is to remain the goddess of thunder. She will while she is the goddess of thunder, she's 100% healthy. The cancer is gone. She is Thor. She is 100% sick. The problem is she can't remain Thor. The power has a limit to it, so to speak. So when she puts down the hammer, she becomes Jane Foster again. And in that period of time that she is the goddess of thunder, she cannot be imperfect. So the cancer is gone, and so is the radiation treatment. So the chemotherapy and the radiation is expelled from her body. So when she becomes Jane Foster again, she is regressed, and doctors can't figure it out. And if I'm not mistaken too, is that she has no memory at times of being Thor.
I can't recall that part.
But anyways, go read it. It's a great pickup. It's worth getting on Marvel Unlimited. Jason Aaron is a fabulous writer. I'm super jealous of JR. Actually, you got to meet him at Revolution.
Great,
I had no idea he was there because I was more focused on meeting Chris Claremont. But nonetheless, Taika Waititi with this storyline, and we do know that Jason Aaron is working with. He's like what's his name? The guy that is Black Panther.
Oh yeah.
Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Yeah.
That Ta-Nehisi Coates was on set with the director of Black Panther and was working on the movie. So we know that Jason Aaron is going to be involved in this. So we know it's going to be well written. And we don't know when this one's coming out. Is this 2022 or 2023?
I'm pretty sure 2022, man. I'm hoping also is not as rushed as I'm hoping it's not gonna be rushed like his, like the end of his run, like what happened in Thor 700 and all that stuff. But here's hoping. Here's hoping. And I'm hoping that he can finally tell his story that he wanted, or end his story the way he wanted to end it. But then, we'll see how it goes.
Hey,
super excited about that.
Did he?
So,
okay, so he did Thor. He did Mighty Thor. He did Unworthy Thor.
He did, but I think he did a Hulk. I think he had a couple runs on Hulk as well.
Yeah,
but not the older Hulk. Yeah.
In this current, like in the last. You're right. I think he did do Immortal Hulk, or
no, it wasn't Immortal. It was the Hulk before that.
Oh, okay.
It was yeah.
But he did Did he do War of the Realms?
Yeah, he did. That was his.
Because and he was also doing the Thor run that this past Thor run that really took off. For collectors and stuff like that.
Are you talking about like the current one?
Yeah. Didn't he start on that one?
Yeah, no, you're talking about the God Butcher miniseries. That one.
Yeah.
He did that one, and that transitioned into the current Thor runs. Yes. The most current Thor run right now that's going on is that's actually being helmed by Donny Cates right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so he didn't do
X-Men.
He didn't do King Thor.
No, I think that was from I think that was Hickman. I
Okay.
think Hickman did that one.
The
Rune King
he
Thor
did get
was
credit for
insane.
King in Black, Return of the Valkyries.
Hmm.
That was just more recent though. It
Yeah.
should be noted that he actually did. I forgot about this. He actually was the lead writer on Original Sin.
Mhm.
I had forgotten that he actually. I thought he just was like.
That's right. That would make sense for him because
So
that's his storyline. Yeah.
yeah, he did Thor Volume 4, Thor Volume 5, Unworthy Thor. He also wrote Valkyrie Jane Foster,
Yep.
and he did write
He's
at
doing.
least one of the issues of War of the Realms.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, he's a he's a fantastic writer, and like I said, JR, you've met him and you've
Cool
said
guy,
he's
man.
a pretty
Cool.
cool, really kind of approachable guy. So
Really cool. I think Candace got something signed from, and she sent it in. So yeah, cool guy. I really can't wait for it. Man, I'm kind of hoping that Hela comes back because, damn, that woman's fine.
well, we
But yeah,
never saw her
this is
die.
we don't. And I'm hoping that she does somewhat make a return, because it would be nice just to have some semblance of Loki back as well as just the eldest come back. And so yeah, it'd be cool to have. And we'll see how it happens. Overall, I'm happy for the movie, man. It's in great hands right now. Jason Aaron's gonna definitely have his thing, gonna put his touches around the film. And yeah, it's just cool, just seeing that Thor is, that Chris Hemsworth really wants to be in it for the long haul. It's his 10th movie in the MCU, and hoping for 10 more, man. So yeah, I'm hoping definitely becomes the art. He takes the role of RDJ. It was supposed to go Chris Evans, but then Chris Evans, he wants to take some break. He wants to take a break, so it's fine. But yeah, other than that, guys, that concludes our news and notes. An hour and 25 minutes of news and notes. I'm hoping it could have took forever, but here we are, man. We are now
48
at the
minutes
movie.
left on this movie.
Thank the Lord. Okay,
we still have flex pool to get to. So
yeah.
like I said,
Actually, I think we have 30 minutes left of the movie, because I think 15 minutes. Like no, 35 minutes, because the majority of that's going to be like 10 minutes of that's going to be the credits.
well, we're at the point right now. They have found the Wayfinder.
Yeah.
Which will take them to the Sith base.
Yeah.
They did just have the flashback scene with the Force Ghost of Luke
And Leia.
and Leia. They showed Leia has already passed away. But they showed the flashback scene where Luke and Leia battle, where Luke is training Leia to be a Jedi.
That scene.
Luke
Okay.
shows Rey Leia's lightsaber. And now he's at the part where he is raising the famed X-Wing from the original series for Rey to fly. Of course, for Star Wars fans in recent memory will recognize this X-Wing very, very familiar.
Yeah.
We won't get into too much of that because someone isn't completely done with their homework.
That's
but give you real quick. Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, was released on December 16th, 2019, and in Hollywood, and of course released throughout the world, or throughout the United States, on the 20th. For those of us who were lucky enough, we actually got to see it on December 19th. And of course, because of the COVID-19 restrictions and the just overall coronavirus pandemic, this was actually the last movie that yours truly and my homeboy over here, along with our crew from the Comic Asylum days, this was the last time we got to see a movie in the theater together. And we hope that 2021 or 2022 brings a healthy dose of non-coronavirus bullshit, and we can move forward.
Yeah.
It was directed by J.J. Abrams, stars Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, Marie Tran, and many more. Oh God, the beginning crawl made me choke on my drink. The dead speak. the sinister voice of Palpatine. So JR right off the bat did not like the crawl. I
Nope.
didn't either. I just.
Okay, so I have to preface with this, guys.
By the way, we're going back an hour and a half in
Yeah,
this movie to get to.
I just have the reason why I have such animosity towards this film right now specifically is because of one, it could have went so many different ways. It could have ended so well, or it could have started so well if it wasn't for the fact that the Last Jedi just totally shuts on the whole fucking franchise. That's just it. Like the Last Jedi, I will give this. Rian Johnson is a fucking master troll, where he was given one film and one film only. He was giving a script or even some form of, like, direction of where the film should go, specifically from JJ, of where the film is wanting to go, because it was supposed to be this whole thing of like JJ does one film, or Rian Johnson does one film, and it's going to end off another director, right? Just like how the sequels, just how like the original was supposed to be, right? And Rian was like, nah, I'll just do my own thing. I'll just kind of just subvert every expectation, and I'll just gain new fans, right? And this film wasn't gonna win. This film wasn't gonna win because, one, JJ was trying to appease two crowds now at this point. He was trying to reappease, bring back the old fans, and say, hey, no, this is Star Wars, guys, and then try to appease the new fans that love The Last Jedi. Oh, Rey is actually the main character. Oh, all the guys are stupid, believe in women, all that stuff, right? No, all that was subverted in the third film by making Rey look weaker, which is a good thing. And also, like, not just weaker as in strength, but weaker as in like just mentality, right? She was yelled at by Poe for slaving away in some freaking for training away in some desert, in some jungle, when they needed her out in the front lines.
Yeah.
After they were complaining about, like, why is the ship like this? Well, you weren't there. We were doing stuff without you. And it's just a bunch of stuff bunch of precedents that was set on the second movie that kind of stumbled upon the third movie. And just, my biggest thing was this: JJ should have just filmed the whole damn thing, and it would have made a lot more sense because, well, one, we would have the original trio together majority of the time, and that's a good thing because guess what? They work really fucking good off each other. That's the one thing that I noticed from the first from the first movie to this movie, where they work really well when they're trios, right? And I don't see glaring things when they're with other people, or where they're not bouncing off each other. And so that's the one thing I did not like. And there's a lot of good things in it too. There's a lot of good ideas in it. It's just that, like, for me, it was ruined because of the second movie. I just couldn't pay attention to it. I tried to. I really did. I honestly did. There's a lot of good things going for this movie. But then it tried too much to appease the old crowd by saying, "Hey, we're old Star Wars guys," but at the same time, they're trying to find the thing to do another thing for the thing. Like that, it was basically a fetch mission throughout the whole film. That really didn't lead nowhere.
I bitched a lot in these 11 movies that we've watched about effects. In 1977, George Lucas put a cinematic masterpiece on the big screen using practical effects, shooting models for spaceships, taking cameras and putting them into these models and doing the trench run, and just basically stuff that you and I, JR, would do if we had mom's camcorder. We're making movies, we would find a way to make these damn movies.
Yeah.
I'm watching this, every time I look up, all I see is the same shit in every single movie. This shot right here behind me, for those of you watching on YouTube, this was probably one of the coolest effects of because it wasn't cookie cutter. I cannot stand the fleet shot, because all they did was they designed one Imperial Star Destroyer and went Control C, Control V, click, 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 cut, copy, and paste. I
Yeah.
hate it. They've done it so many times in movies, and it just drives me nuts. And it's just so. I mean, I'm even looking at it right now. I mean, just nothing seems. No one, no Navy. This is what it is. It's this. We all know that when it comes to space, it's the closest thing to a Navy. No
Mhm.
Navy on God's green earth would do a formation like this. That's where it takes me out. And also, there was a moment in this movie earlier where, and this goes back to JR, and you've broken me for this, by the way, with the whole there's no gravity in space. There should be no smoke trails in space either. There's a freighter that gets used, and they're using fire from their engines, and there's smoke coming from it. No, there's no smoke trails in space. I'm no scientist, but I'm just saying it doesn't seem plausible to me.
Yeah. There's a lot of things. Just having Palpatine be the big bad again. And I understand, like, I understand. Yeah, I understand where he's coming from, because one, he was right into a corner, into the stupid ass corner, where now you have a big bad. There is no established evil character there, right? None. And they were kind of hinting at the fact that maybe Rey's gonna be that evil character, right? She was gonna be, she might, step into the dark side. We never seen that before. Well, we have, but then, like, we've never seen the main character step into, the Jedi way on a big film. Other than, of course, Anakin Skywalker, but that was a fucking foregone conclusion for all of us. But, like, past that, we have never seen this, and I was kind of hoping for it. Maybe Rey is the big bad. I was hoping that would be the right presumption for the third film. No, we'll just go back with Palpatine. I'm pretty sure they could have worked it better too with Palpatine, but it's just that the frantic pacing of everything was just too much for me. First they were in Tatooine. No, first they were looking for the spy, the mole. Then they're jumping through planet. Then they're hype speed jumping through planet. Let me tell you the reason why hyperspeed jumping is fucking horrid idea, and that was done through Rian fucking Johnson, where he did that dumbass bullshit. You'd have dumbass scenes like that. Don't get me wrong, it looks fun, it looks really cool, but this gonna set a precedent where it's gonna be horrid then for the next coming films, because this is now canon. You have to freaking focus on this stuff. The same way when Palpatine is finally revealed, and he does his crazy force power of unleashing these fucking Star Destroyers from the water, I guess, right? One, how did you have enough money to build all them Star Destroyers? Two, you couldn't just do the shit yourself, like, and three, yeah, you making clones of Snoke, like, just out of nowhere? What the heck? It's
I can't.
I know they talk about cloning. I do know they talk about cloning so much, and how they talked and how Palpatine talked to Anakin before about.
But there is. I can't get into it, JR.
He's Mandalorian. Blah blah blah.
Yes. Okay. They do address it a hell of a lot better in the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And it's what they want Baby Yoda for. Okay. First off,
yeah, okay, I got to that part, but it's just more so the effect of, like, just, there's one thing to do with trying to do with Baby Yoda. There's another thing to do with I forgot, Boba Fett's father, and trying to make clone troopers, Jango Fett, right, and try to make clone troopers. There's another fucking thing to try to make another Sith Lord.
And that's what they're trying to do. Is they're trying. They were able to create the perfect soldier in the form of the clone army, the Fett army, the clones of Jango Fett, and they in canon they've proven that even Boba has proven himself as an unaltered clone to be a strong kind of product of this line. And now they're like, okay, what can we do to even make it better? And that is to clone people with force powers,
Yeah.
and create this ultimate bad.
No, but
And
therein lies the problem, because is every clone then past this point gonna be force infused? Like that shouldn't be the case, because one, force influence is supposed to be mechanically different from one life to the other. Period. Right? Han didn't have force powers, but because he was with Leia, they gave this thing where their son is force influence, right? Because of also they're the kids of he's the grandkid of freaking Darth Vader, right?
yeah,
Uh, having force power or being a Jedi mechanically is supposed to be freaking hard, and so for them to put out this bullcrap media of say, oh, let's just have Snoke just reclone him so many freaking times, and every single time he'll be the exact same person, the exact same force powers, exactly. It's like I understand it's a cop out, it's a crappy ass cop out, and I understand you do it for the sake of story because of the shit that was left from you from Rian Johnson. But like at the same time, like you do not know what this is gonna freaking lead to. What's stopping them from cloning Luke and having Luke be Sith Lord?
I think
It's
that's what
like,
they wanted to do. I really think that's what they wanted to do, and they kind of talk about this in Mandalorian season 2 is, in the conclusion of the Return of the Jedi, Luke kind of goes into exile a bit, and I think it's proven too in the Force Awakens what exactly did Supreme Leader Snoke want with Luke Skywalker, and I think it was to continue the cloning process. I think that's things that are going to be addressed in the Mandalorian going forward, is that the whole point of this underground imperial system, because we know obviously the end of Return of the Jedi, the Empire has fallen, but we've seen in Mandalorian season 1 is that there are aspects of the Empire that have gone so far out, and that there's this grandiose scheme. And we also know too that, spoiler alert from here on out, JR has reached the point in the Mandalorian where he has seen Ahsoka Tano, is that we know that General Thrawn is also out there. What is what is he looking to do? And obviously too, is it connected to what oh my gosh, can't think of his name now. The big bad in Mandalorian. Moff Gideon. What we know now that Moff Gideon is trying to create a sort of clone army, and obviously JR hasn't reached the complete conclusion of Mess season 2. We do know that there is something that Moff Gideon actually is trying to create, along with trying to acquire. Okay, you said you saw the Ahsoka show, right?
Yeah.
So okay, we can call him Grogu.
Yeah, but here's my problem with this scenario, right? If this was done retroactively because of the dumbass storylines being placed in forth from the iteration of the movies, you would have an actual IP that's doing justice to the fucking Star Wars movie in Mandalorian, trying to make sense of that bullshit. That's my problem. It takes it like when stuff like this is put into storyline because they think it looks cool, it should make sense a certain way, right? And then you have to put that into other IPs that love this fucking franchise, and they have to make sense of it. You would like, I wonder where the creators, Dave Filoni, all the fucking creators of Star Wars right now, currently, how they would have to kind of fucking skew the view of how they wanted to write their version of Star Wars to just have that format because of this thing. We could have a possible level Sith Emperor or Sith Lord on the level of Darth and Snoke just be cloned every single time. So that means then we'll just clone Ahsoka Tano, right? And have an evil Ahsoka Tano. We'll clone Darth Revan again from the Old Republic. We'll clone a bunch of freaking old Siths, because now every freaking single Sith inside of Palpatine, right? they'll just clone everybody. Like, I get that he's trying to make a good movie from the shit that he was dealt with.
Yeah.
But this just leaves horrible precedents because guess what? After you're done with the fucking Star Wars movie, my dude, there's still a fan base afterwards that gonna have to fucking make sense of it. And as well as, and though some of the fan base are behind some of the better iterations of this franchise, like The Mandalorian. And I don't know where you see from that, like just shit like that, dude. Like when you throw some crazy bullcrap into the fire and then now it affects every other franchise that's under that helm. That's what irritates me.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just going back into the movie, we finally see Ray Train. I have yet to. It's been a minute since I've seen someone finally throw a lightsaber and it comes back to them. That's cool to see. Like I've said before, I really wish there was more scenes with all three of them together. I really did. And it looks like that this film is trying to make up for that. Like it was supposed to be about those three. Period. And I like that. I enjoyed that. But I really wish that would have happened in the second movie because of it. Because that I feel like that's where it should have been. But yeah, it felt very much more like they're like JJ was trying to make up for all the crap that went down in Last Jedi, and he tries to do his best. It's cool, except that for the whole fact that they're just trying to find a thing for the next hour and 20 minutes of the movie.
I would have, I look at from the perspective of the Emperor is just so done. He served his purpose in the prequels to create from a geopolitical standpoint to create the Empire, and it was a great job. It was a great political drama. Looking back at it, we've talked about that. Go back and watch our old episode. By the way, there will be a complete playlist on our YouTube channel that you can watch the Star Wars, our Star Wars series in order. And Palpatine did such a great job at manipulating people to create this. And then, of course, he just went away. He went away for 2 movies and then came back in Return of the Jedi. And we come to find out he is the puppet master. He is the puppet master to Darth Vader and the entire Empire. But then he is defeated, and it should have just gone that way and let Kylo be distorted by, and here we go. Here's the great portals scene that we got after Avengers Endgame, where we have all the starships across the universe coming.
Okay.
Now I'm looking. Supposedly in there somewhere is Mando's ship, is Din Djarin's ship, supposedly, that they edited it into the movie. But I've never been able to. It's somewhere in this picture, but nonetheless.
Yeah.
A lot of people hated this scene because it was very similar to that of the portal scene from the end of Avengers Endgame, which came out earlier that year. So,
bro, let's go. I want to go back to the what your comment about Darth Vader and Palpatine. One of the biggest things for me specifically, one of the biggest, like, not shocks, but like one of the bigger like negative marks for me is that one Palpatine's still alive, right? That forgoes Darth Vader's that forgoes Anakin's sacrifice to basically end him to end him himself, right?
Yeah.
So him throwing Palpatine down that freaking chute
means nothing.
It means nothing, right? And so his sacrifice or his redemption arc for Darth after listening to his son the whole freaking film, right? It didn't mean anything because that sacrifice went away the second this fucking movie was made.
What I would have liked them to do, and Lucas has come out and finally hinted at what his big bad for his sequel trilogy was going to be. He wrote a sequel trilogy. There is an episode 7, 8, and 9 written by George Lucas.
Yeah.
And it was thrown out after the sale of Lucasfilms to Disney.
Yeah.
And in it,
Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, they basically did this. They did this. They saw the script. Oh, nice script. Well, fuck it.
and what they wanted to do is they didn't want to pay George Lucas. They already paid him $2 billion to go away and let us play with your toys. You know, it's basically it's one of those situations where, you ever seen Pee-wee's Big Adventure? And you have the guy comes over and goes, Pee-wee, I want to buy your bike. How much is it going to cost you? You know, or Ted, where the guy comes over and he wants to buy Ted off of Mark Wahlberg. You know, come on, I can write a lot of zeros on this check. How much is it going to cost you? And that was what Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy did. Well, mostly Bob Iger did was, George, come on, we want your toys. What's it going to cost me? Oh, $2.5 billion? Done. You take cash or check. And they bought it out from him. And then, of course, which was a smart decision at the time, putting Kathleen Kennedy in charge of Lucasfilms, because let's face it, Kathleen Kennedy was practically running Lucasfilms at the time. But going back to the original script, it has come out since, because George Lucas, I'll never tell you what it was. And we all know that he was going to deal with the extended universe. He was going to deal with Han and Leia getting married. There was going to be the twins and whatnot. But the big bad that was going to come back in the sequel trilogy was not Palpatine. Palpatine was going to be gone. There is a big bad that George Lucas brought back before the events of Solo, and that was Darth Maul was going to be the bad guy. He essentially was going to be the Emperor, and we know that he is. Dave Filoni has done a fantastic job of fleshing out that character through the Clone Wars, which JR will address next week. They did a great job of bringing him back into the extended into the movie universe through Solo. And in the books, they have talked about Darth Maul essentially overthrowing Mandalore and gaining control of the Darksaber and becoming one of the most powerful entities in the galaxy, being able to wield not only a lightsaber but to be able a Sith Lord. It's one thing that for a Moff Gideon, who's not a Sith Lord, to hold the lightsaber or the Darksaber, but for a Sith Lord, and that was going to be addressed. That was going to be brought up, and I was like, oh, I want that story instead of this shit.
Yeah, that was in Clone Wars.
Oh, I wanted that so bad. But who knows? I don't think that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau is going to retcon it or anything, but who knows? Maybe they will go down that road. There is talk that there's a possibility that Darth Maul could still appear in future entities of the Mandalorian.
Here's hoping. Yeah, dude, I'm like, Darth Maul's, they never got rid of Darth Maul. That's the thing. Like, he's always in the Star Wars universe, and he's always somewhere in there where he is. Yeah, he there's this whole thing with Darth Maul and like his race, his species, right? It was called, I forgot the women in the culture, like the Blood Sisters or something like that. Like they had this whole planet to themselves, right? And they took over Mandalore. Like Darth Maul actually took over Mandalore. He killed I shouldn't say that. But yeah, he took over Bo-Katan's sister was the ruler of Mandalore. Right?
Yeah.
So Bo-Katan is basically much not hierarchy, but she is of that prestige. And yeah, like she's there to take back Mandalore from freaking Darth Maul. And like we that's the storyline that should happen. And I'm hoping that Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, they could fix it. They could somehow right this ship that was left behind from the main iterations and somehow make some semblance of Rey into a good character. It's just that I don't know. They got a lot of work, man. They got a lot of work ahead of them. This whole thing with Rey's Sith power or with Rey's powers per se, like they have that whole twin thing going on where if he interacts with her, he takes something off her. He takes something from her physically, or when they fight that. Here's the thing. It looks cool cinematically. If you want to implement that though in the rest of the fucking universe, in the rest of the continuity, it's gonna be hella freaking hard. So that means that every Jedi, when they are connected specifically to a certain or any force user is connected specifically to another force user, right? If their bond is deep enough, they can basically kind of just raid their world or interact with their world, do some turn semblance, right? So like that just adds a lot more stuff onto the, when directors look at something and say, "Oh, that's cool," right, and just use it for cinematic purposes without understanding that this is a franchise that's gonna go after, that's gonna continue after you, and it's gonna follow your, and it's gonna follow your fucking success, right? It's gonna follow, and it's gonna have to follow after that. It makes it harder story-wise to try to implement that correctly, or even retcon it. Like, this is why Superman doesn't have that many fucking powers anymore that he was in Silver Age, because freaking Superman he sneezes away a fucking he sneezes away a fucking galaxy. You don't do that shit now.
No.
So like, this is the exact same problem. So yeah, that is irritating. There's so many things wrong. There are so many things that was nagging me throughout this whole freaking movie that like I thought like, oh fuck, man, that could have been really freaking cool. The bigger things was Rey's force push or force grab and lightning that she finally had. You could actually, if you train hard enough in Jedi continuity, you can actually learn lightning. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, I think Luke actually could use lightning, if I remember correctly.
I don't know if he ever does. I know that
in the expanding universe, he did. I think.
Yeah, and I know that on screen,
never did.
Only Yoda did.
Yoda and Palpatine. Palpatine specifically, yeah.
Well, yeah, Palpatine had done. Well, and Dooku, Count Dooku also, I believe, had lightning because he fought Yoda, and Yoda kind of threw it back in his face.
Yeah.
And it was more along the lines that Yoda could
control it,
kind of hold it, and then fuck you, bitch. Which, by the way, real quick. Someone edited that scene in Attack of the Clones at the end and cut Count Dooku out and made it seem as if Yoda was the Sith Lord. And it was Sith Yoda, and basically when Obi-Wan and Anakin come onto the scene, they're talking to Yoda rather than to Count Dooku. I don't know, it was a funny, clever edit. Someone had some fun on YouTube. I thought it was cool. Kind of funny that, oh man, by the way, could you imagine if Yoda was a bad guy?
Yeah, that'd been interesting. That'd been interesting.
Now, what real quick, well, maybe we'll save that for next week for Mandalorian. As this crap show is coming to an end, we now see the life force of Ben Solo being sucked from him.
Let me give my one of my last rants of it, right?
Yep.
All right, so when they do the redemption arc for Ben, right? We finally see what should have happened in the first freaking go around when it was Kylo versus Rey the first time. You see a more distinct, more distinguished, more experienced fighter versus Rey, who, even though she's trained for I don't know how long, maybe a couple of weeks or so, with her force powers, right? We see her get easily overpowered by Kylo. Not injured, he's fine, right? Easily overpowered on the crushed Death Star. That makes sense to me. That's cool because one, he's been trained for freaking years. She just picked up a lightsaber last week, for me, right? Like, that's supposed to make sense. And then the ass pull that they freaking make when Leia gives her life to send Ben a message saying, "Hey, you can still make it. I'm still your mom. I'm gonna die though." Oh, mom, what? He drops the lightsaber. She picks it up and stabs in the fucking gut. Then literally a second later, what? Oh no, Leia died. Let me heal you. Hey, I know the only reason why I won this match is because your mom died and all, but and even though I took the opportunity to stab you in the gut with your own saber, I'm really sorry about that. So let me heal you real quick. And just so we can fight the fact that you're better than me. Cool, bye. Also, I caught feelings for you, so bye. Like, it was so anticlimactic for me. I get it. You do it because, you know, it's supposed to be the switch for him to go back to the light side. It's basically freaking a worse version of of Rise no of Return of the Jedi. This whole freaking film is basically a worse version of Return of the Jedi when you go certain beats for beats.
Yeah. Well, we're now
And-
seeing the end all. We're seeing the shot. We saw it from Bespin. We saw the ship crash on Endor. We saw the ship crashing onto Tatooine.
All
Or not
that shit.
Tatooine.
Which one?
Where's Rey from?
Oh, I don't fucking know. I forgot. I forgot what it was
It's
called.
not
But yeah.
Tatooine. It's the other desert planet.
Oh, here's the thing that irritated me too. Okay, so Leia has a blue lightsaber, right?
Yes.
Why is Luke's lightsaber blue then? His is green. Why does she have two blue lightsabers?
Because the saber that Luke's saber is his saber from Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back, he has a blue lightsaber. He loses that lightsaber. It falls down the chute. He gets a new one. His lightsaber in Return of the Jedi is green.
It's green. That should be his dad's, isn't it?
No, his dad's was the blue one.
Okay.
So Anakin's is blue because I believe I have to go back. Wasn't Obi-Wan's, were they both the same color in the prequels?
I don't recall.
But no. The lightsaber that is found from, was it Kaz? What's her name?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And on in her shop where it's, oh, this is Luke's, it calls to her and stuff like that. That is the infamous lightsaber that was found that was the one that was lost on Bespin. That was the blue one. So yeah, I know it's kind of, to me, I was kind of lost in that scene where you had both
because they call it back,
Kylo and Rey with blue lightsabers.
It was just, no, it was weird because they called back to the scene where you had Leia fight Luke and they both had distinctly different lightsabers. One, of course it was right after Revenge. It was right after
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. And he had his green lightsaber, but like, okay, so yeah, it was just a weird ass pull. It was just weird for me. And not only that, but like, one, I'm pretty. At this point in the film, I was just super irritated, right? Because like the possibilities that should have happened from this film, but then when she then makes her own lightsaber, or she comes out with her own lightsaber, like how do you find a copy? Oh, I read it. I written my fucking notes, right? So who made her new lightsaber? How did she know how to make a new lightsaber? How did she uncover?
She gets a new one at the end of the movie.
Yeah, how did she uncover yellow, specifically yellow kyber crystals? And who had an extra plasma blade? Like, this is the reason why I got so super analytical with this fucking film, is because I was super irritated to begin with. I never suspended my disbelief. I tried to give it a shot. I really did. And then this film just made me constantly remember Jedi, the Last Jedi. And
have you heard too, speaking of this, as the movie kind of comes to an end here, and we'll get to our pull list and just kind of end it.
Right.
That Disney is wanting to wipe clean at Galaxy's Edge anything having to do with the sequel trilogy.
I hope so.
Now I will say this:
fucking redo it. I hope they fucking just redo it. I don't give a fuck if it's the original. They redo it with the original cast as long as they fucking do it right.
I don't like retconning stuff. Just leave it be, and then just kind of work with it and do what Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are doing, and say, for example, a lot of us don't like the prequel trilogies, but nobody wants them to redo it because it would be a convoluted mess and stuff like that. And we just like, okay, well, let's just deal with it. Let's just work within the system. We all hate Jar Jar, but Jar Jar is now a reference. But I forgot where I was going with this, but nonetheless,
like the retconning, you're talking about the retcon for the possibly the sequels right now.
I don't want them to redo the sequels. Just let it be. It's it sucks, but going back, what I was going to, because you're talking about the kyber crystals. have done such a fantastic job. There's so much story and everything. How it's funny how they screwed stuff up like this. For those of you who have not, and I haven't had the opportunity, but I've seen some videos from it. If you haven't had the opportunity to go to Galaxy's Edge, when Disneyland reopens sometime maybe late this year or maybe next year, is that go to the lightsaber building. I can't remember what it's called, but where you go to build your own lightsaber. And it is amazing the story behind every single piece of equipment, everything. And they talk about all the stories behind all of the different kyber crystals and stuff like that. And so, it's kind of funny. There is a story behind the yellow one. But I was thinking, like, I don't think anybody else has ever had a yellow kyber crystal, yellow lightsaber.
There has. Is, if it was in the Clone Wars, the I forget which Jedi master had it, but it was the one with he had tendrils for hair. I think he had a yellow one. Oh, okay. But just I kind of go back to your point about if they should retcon it or not. I feel like they should, because just for the simple fact that a lot of creative assertions were put onto this film to make the movie look fucking cool, without understanding the fact that it's gonna leave a lot of fucking discerning things. Are you a Lord of the Rings fan?
Yeah.
It's the same. It's like this thing that'll be brought up in this fucking movie, even though nearly every franchise has it. But the exact same thing. What they're constantly saying about Lord of the Rings. Why didn't they use the damn eagles in the first place? Why didn't they use the eagles in the fucking first place? Why waste all this goddamn time? And people will constantly say, "Oh no, it has to do with things." The freaking what's the name? The Lord will fucking find them the first time, and all these things. And people will constantly say that. But when you cinematically put that out onto film, people will ask questions. The same way people will say, "Well, okay, Captain America is fighting against Hydra for the 15,000th time. Why didn't he call Thor? What's going on with Hulk?" Thankfully, MCU is in a better position, and they have answers for those. Oh, he's off world. Oh, he's dealing with another thing, another planetary attack. They have options for that. In this fucking film, they can't they can't explain that shit no more. If they're facing with another evil threat. Here's the thing. Okay, so here's the thing that I feel like if they would end the movie, if the cavalry didn't come, right?
Yeah.
Oh shit. We're gonna die. What should we do, guys? It's gonna be fucking end. Okay, then. Well, how about we just hyperspeed into all these fucking Death Destroyers then, and at least take some of them out? Because guess the fuck what? We did that in the second movie. Why? You know what? As Poe Dameron, I'm just gonna fucking just hyperspeed into as many of these freaking or hyperdrive into many of these fucking Star Destroyers as possibly can, because we did that in the second movie.
Yeah.
So that's my point. When you do things just because it looks great cinematically, without understanding the fact that this franchise is gonna go past you, it's gonna live past you, they're gonna have to deal with this type of shit, and it's gonna really screw with story. That's my problem with it. I feel like they should retcon it because of shit like this that's gonna happen. That's gonna come up now. I would love for them to do with the original cast, with this cast. I'm okay with this fucking cast. I feel like Rey is a very, very underdeveloped character. I feel like definitely freaking Finn is a hugely underdeveloped character.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot more characters that should be given a little more limelight, right? Like Lupita Nyong'o's character, right? Where did she come from?
Well, and I think there's talk that, obviously she appears in
not where she come from. Where has she been?
Yeah,
I mean, I meant that way. And as well as
there's talk about flesh out the character a little bit more. There's talk that she could appear in The Mandalorian.
I'm cool with.
There's talk about she actually appears in obviously the aforementioned cartoon.
Yeah,
which is available on
Disney Plus.
On Disney Plus.
It's just a lot of these things are done retroactively now, though. That's the thing. I want a full on, either a retcon or at least some type of tinkering, where they just, deal with the effects of they deal with the effects of Last Jedi, as well as some of the stuff that they should have definitely hinted on in A Force Awakens.
Yeah.
And that should have been, for me, that would have made the Rise of Skywalker much more digestible. One, honestly, it was the good things I would say about this movie. It would have been really freaking cool if Rey did go dark and actually become, no. It would have been really freaking cool if Rey would have stayed light, Palpatine, right? A Palpatine on the light side, and Ben, he would have stayed dark on the left side, right? You would have a Palpatine good and now a Skywalker bad. That would have been good. That would have been a good storyline to have. They didn't really have that. They tried to do some weird ass freaking some weird ass romance between them because they have a bond. They were trying to build for 2 films, and like that was a great storyline. One, freaking Finn finally finding out that he's not the only one of that turned his back, to become a stormtrooper, right? That was a good storyline, right? A little bit on the nose when they try to introduce his love interest for me. Okay, cool, another African American character, really?
What happened to Rose? I mean, come on.
Here's the thing.
That first date.
God, here's the thing too. If they should have definitely fucking fleshed out better. Not this whole thing where like, oh, she's the savior to stupid men, specifically Finn, right? And that was a bad taste. That left a bad taste in my mouth. And just like they should be able to fix these small things. Granted, I definitely think that either JJ or someone close to fucking JJ that knows how to make these fucking films should take hold and just redo the whole fucking franchise. It's hard.
It's just tough because you just have to like these aren't the droids you're looking for. These you have to kind of like wipe her memory. That's what I have a problem with like retconning stuff like that. Is the only way to properly within canon to retcon storylines. Time travel.
I think
that's the only way to do it.
I think that would be the case. I was also possibly thinking of like, okay, if they really want to just do a whole new thing, they really should have just done what they were trying to do in the second film, and that was basically fuck everything else. They just burn everything.
Yeah. Well,
just starting. But like,
we'll see what they're gonna do because there is still talk about letting Taika Waititi do a Star Wars trilogy.
That would be amazing.
It's going to be from a different standpoint. The Skywalker saga is over. They might play in this sandbox a little bit, maybe play some characters and whatnot. But we'll have to see. I tell you one thing, from a movie standpoint, I'm really looking forward to seeing Rogue Squadron and see how that kind of overall brings everything together.
Just give Patty Jenkins everything. Let her do what it's just don't mess with her. Let her freaking, if she needs anything, let her talk to John or Dave Filoni, which I'm pretty sure she's not gonna have any iterations of that. Maybe just John, right? No Kathleen Kennedy, no Bob Iger, nobody else. Just let her freaking do her own thing.
I really think that's what's gonna happen because I think oh my gosh, you just said her name.
Kathleen Kennedy.
Not Kathleen Kennedy. No. The director, Patty Jenkins.
Yeah,
Patty Jenkins is writing Rogue Squadron and directing it, so I think that'll be really helpful. Real quick before we get to the pool list, flex pool, and we'll end this mess. I want to give my final rankings on the Star Wars films as we have now finished the cinematic side of the Star Wars universe. From last to first, still sticking with my guns. Number 11 is The Phantom Menace. So much potential the Phantom Menace had. Again, we mentioned about just a few moments ago, just strong ties to it could very well be a strong geopolitical thriller, and just dropped the ball, wanted too much to be a kiddie movie. Number 10 would be The Last Jedi. Again, there was cool aspects of The Last Jedi that made me like it, but it just dropped the ball. Rian Johnson, I don't know if it's necessarily his fault, the writing, whatever, but yeah, that's my number 10. Number 9 is The Attack of the Clones. There's too many kiddie moments in it that just kind of lost me in what could have been another strong political thriller. Number 8, The Rise of Skywalker that we just saw. Number 7, Revenge of the Sith. Now, a lot of people put this in their top 5. There's only 11 movies, so what's 7 to 5? Number 6 would be Solo. I actually used to have Solo a lot lower in the list, but Solo, after seeing it a couple more times, really, really enjoyed it. Number 5, Return of the Jedi. Number 4, Rogue One. Number 3, The Force Awakens. I liked it. It made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside about Star Wars again after the bad taste of the prequel trilogy. And it just, everything was done right. They did as many, they limited the CGI as much as possible. And when they did do it, it was great. They did still use practical effects. The original cast was great. The new cast was great. There was a couple of moments where it's just like, there were a couple of cringe-worthy moments, like I mentioned in our podcast before, where Poe tries to be kind of funny, sarcastic. It doesn't work. But yeah, that's my highest ranking for the sequels. Now, my last two. 99.9% of Star Wars fans are going to put Empire Strikes Back at number 1. I don't. It's my number 2. Always has been, always will be. I love Empire, but not as much as I like A New Hope. A New Hope started it all. From a cinematic standpoint, from a creative standpoint, from a directorial standpoint, from a writing standpoint, it's what created all of it. It's what, without that movie, we don't have, not only do we not have the Star Wars universe, there's no way we have Indiana Jones. And for damn sure, if it were not for that movie, we would have no Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, Marvel Entertainment goes back decades prior to that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, its greatest run was literally 1 decade prior, in the 1960s. But from a cinematic standpoint, in telling all interconnected stories from all different realms, and telling a grand space opera, we would not have the Guardians of the Galaxy were it not for that first movie. We would, like I said, we would not have Raiders of the Lost Ark. Steven Spielberg has come on to say that he was so inspired. I mean, though he was doing movies prior to that, he was so inspired by Star Wars. So many people inspired by that original movie. So that's why A New Hope is my number 1. It's where it all began, and it's tough for me to put it higher. Even if it go 1A, 1B, but it's just tough for me to knock A New Hope down any lower than its high pedestal at number 1. But what you got anything to add to that? Any kind of rankings, or you just like put a bullet in this franchise?
I mean, top 5 for me will never change at this point. Other than the fact that, like, well, with the full iteration of everything, top 5 for all the cinematic movies, that's not including, of course, the Star Wars Clone Wars, which is the animated feat that came out in freaking they came out on Cartoon Network. I would say, for me, it'll be Same as Fold, Empire Strikes Back 1, and then it would be New Hope 2, and then it would be of course freaking the Return of the Jedi 3. Pretty easy, right? 4 would be it'll be Rogue One. 5 would definitely be 5 would be what's the film called?
Revenge of the
I lost
Sith?
it. No. Not Revenge of the Sith. Oh yeah, actually, Revenge of the Sith would be 5. 6 would be Solo.
Okay.
7 would actually, for me, 7 would be A New Hope. No, it would be Force Awakens. 8 would be looking back at it now, Phantom Menace.
All right.
9 would be Clone Wars. 10 would be Rise of Skywalker, and 11 would be Jedi.
That should I?
Yeah,
Well,
because I put up Phantom Menace because of one thing. Because a couple things. 1, the choreography were there, unmatched.
Oh yeah.
Unmatched. 2, you talk about orchestra. good fucking god.
Soundtrack was amazing.
That soundtrack's fucking amazing, and that already puts it above for me. Rise of Skywalker and Last Jedi.
Yeah, and you're right, because I mean, John Williams, even then, really, there's nothing from those two movies, Rise of Skywalker and Last Jedi, that really jumps out to you. Rey's theme came from The Force Awakens, which is fabulous. And yeah, he does have kind of like a little touch to every movie.
The biggest thing for me specifically with the last two iterations of the sequels right here is that they weren't trying to do anything new. Not really. They were trying to recapture what was great of the previous trilogies, of the original trilogy. For me, the reason why I rate Phantom Menace up one is because it's technically an origin story for Darth Vader, a shitty origin story, right? Not a well done origin story, but at least try something new. We have more lore specifically of everything. We have the Jedi Council, we have Qui-Gon Jinn, great fucking character. We have Obi-Wan Kenobi, young, great, awesome. At least they're trying to do something new, right? At least it's trying to expand on the already expansive universe. While honestly, if JJ's whole thing was to basically recapture what was great about the original trilogies, which is a good thing because in a lot of people's eyes, even in my eyes to a certain extent, the sequels, the prequel sequels wasn't that great. Absolutely. At least they're trying something new, while all the current trilogy was trying to do was recapture what was great about the original trilogy. That was it. It was the literal, it was the, like when people say they fucking hate sequels, this was it. This trilogy is literally the sequel, right? The bad sequel of the original trilogy. That's it. It really is for me. And it could have been something way much more. I was lied to when A Force Awakens came out, right? All those, great feelings I had when I was a child, or like the great feelings I had when I first watched the original movies.
Yeah.
And then to be let down horrendously by the last two. So
it was severely disappointing, and I expected a lot more, and I guess I was glad that it was over.
If Rey just went nuclear, just took the nuclear option and went with Kylo, that would just turn the movie in a totally different way, and I would have gave it a better shot. But they didn't. They went traditional. They try to recapture the magic of the old movies. So no. Definitely no.
Well, let's end on a happy note. Real quick, we'll just go rapid fire edition on the Flex Pool this week. And I didn't realize until I got home that I actually got 2 copies of this, but this is Immortal Wonder Woman #1. It is Jen Bartel doing the cover art, and fantastic work by Miss Jen. I have had the wonderful opportunity. God dang it, Kevin. I've had the opportunity to meet Jen Bartel at both WonderCon and at San Diego Comic-Con last year. Love her work. Can never go wrong. This is from Future State Catwoman #1. I like this because this is very Aeon Flux.
Oh yeah, Aeon Flux, yeah.
Anime style.
Yeah.
Art germ with the cover. Really liked it. When I first saw it, I was like, I have to have it because it's art germ. And then I more looked into it. I was like, dude, changed the style completely. Really dug it.
Yeah.
Avengers. This is, of course, amidst the Enter the Phoenix storyline, and of course, this cover is inspired by them kind of going to the prehistoric Avengers.
Yep.
Really enjoy that. Yeah. This is not someone you want to mess with. This looks like it is T'Challa, Black Panther Phoenix. tell me that's not someone you want to fuck with. Let's see. I'm going to save that one. I did get this one. This is issue 2 of Red Sonja, The Price of Blood.
Mm-mm.
Just going to leave this here.
Oh yeah,
Needs to be said.
Good cover. Yeah, great cover.
Good cover. Picked up a couple back issues from Sid. Little John Romita Jr. cover. Black and white sketch variant of issue number 6, going way back a couple of years. Kick-Ass volume 3, I believe.
Yeah.
Issue number 6, and then this is cover A that I didn't have of issue number 8 of Kick-Ass from the same series, from the same run.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's yeah.
And I'm sorry, there's a little green to it. Hold on, let me see if I can fix that.
I'd check anything out.
Yeah, because her costume is green.
Yeah.
So let's see, where's that? I have the green screen.
Fine.
So take it off. There we go. Oh, that still doesn't work. So let's just go with this stupid. There we go.
Yeah.
There it is. So that's the cover. Great run, by the way. Highly recommend the Kick-Ass run. And we talked about that, I think, a couple of weeks ago. Also picked this up because I didn't get cover A. Wanted to make sure I got cover A on all of this run. And this is, of course, the aforementioned Donny Cates series that he is working on for Image, and that is Crossover, issue number 3, cover A. I do have the variant featuring, we showed it last week, variant featuring our main character right here, and Spawn kind of hovering over the character. And then last but certainly not least, this is a back issue. This goes back a few years. And this is an art germ piece. And I thought I had this book. And then when I put it into my CLZ collection, I realized I did not. And I thought it was a key issue, but it came right before a key issue in Batman number 50. This is actually Batman number 49. This is a art germ variant that I did not have because probably JR bought them all.
Possibility.
But this is my cover of the week, even though it's a couple of years old.
Oh yeah, I did buy them all.
I could have sworn I had this book at least. I did not. I grabbed it at the Asylum. Chick gave me a great deal on it, and I really, really appreciate it. But yeah, there you go, folks. Flex pull for the week. Anxiously awaiting the arrival, probably about another month or so. Anxiously awaiting the arrival of my Amazing Spider-Man number 129. First appearance of the Punisher, Frank Castle, and of course, I think it's also the first appearance of the Jackal as well.
I recall.
Ooh, I am looking at that book every single day on Key Collector, and it continues to do this.
Yeah. Do they know? Well, do you know what the rating is? No.
Not
okay.
Yet.
Okay.
Do you?
No.
Better not know. Find out before I do.
I don't know. I don't know. What I do know is that on the topic of CGCs, I got my back.
You got some presses back. All right, cool.
I did.
What'd you get? I gotta make it. Come on, show us the mess. Show us the mess of Casa de la JR.
It's a huge mess because guess who's looking through all my freaking comics earlier?
Your sister.
Yeah.
Candace, stay out.
She was looking at, and like I was doing research and everything. Let me just how do I go to none? What the heck? There it is. There you go. This freaking huge ass mess in the background. You see my plate full of like taco wrappers and all that stuff. But yeah, on the side. But here you go. Came back.
Venom, King Black.
Venom, King and Black right here. Venom 3. First appearance of Null. That's the third print. Another one. Oh wait. A Venom 3 first print.
I think I have that one.
Oh wait. Another Venom 3 first print. And I'm waiting for one more Venom 3 first print, and that'll end off all the runs I have for it. I'm gonna sell, I think, 3 of these ones right here. On eBay, they'll be listed up. I sold them for pretty cheap the first time around. I had a total of 5 Venom ones, and yeah, as you can see from back here, a bunch of shit. I went to the store yesterday, picked up some of my pull. Yeah, I sent a lot of stuff out to CGC also this week, and so Yeah, it's just my room right now is a huge mess, and it's still been a mess. And I'm pretty sure those who watch the video format of our show here have probably know that I'm a messy freaking person. But it's just like,
and just to peek behind the curtain. I mean, literally, this green screen is right behind me. Matter of fact, thankfully, JR didn't laugh too hard when I knocked it over in pre-production. But I mean,
No.
right behind the screen is an office that I share with my kids. There's Legos there in the background. Bookshelf full of I don't know if you can see it. Oh, it's off this direction over here.
yeah, I see.
A bookshelf full of Funkos. Obviously, my my Mjolnir cap shield, Iron Man helmet. Though I do keep my bottle opener here nearby.
Nice.
Here's, hold on, I got Stormbreaker over here. It's all right. It's how I keep the bottles open.
Nice.
So
Also, before I forget, I've been looking at like what's been rising recently too in certain comics too. This one came up really big. Simian Spider-Man #1. To go back to our comic collecting needs, guys. Simian Spider-Man #1, the McFarlane variant, the one from 100. I have 2 of them. It went up from $25 to is ranging anywhere between $75 to $100.
the one that went up too was that Batman Superman book with Michael Turner, the Virgin variant.
That's been up. That's always the last like year and a half. That's been up. It went from a $250 book.
Yeah, $220 right now. I think I paid $60 for it.
Yeah.
By itself, but I bought it in a collection that I paid $100 for the collection. I got 4 books from it.
Mm-hmm.
And the only book that was really worth a damn in that collection was this Superman Batman crossover, which of course has Supergirl naked, wrapped in Superman's cape. Yeah. It's a Michael Turner variant. We've talked about it on the show before. It had risen up. It got peaked at $160. Now it is over $220.
Yeah, the Raws. The 9/8s are going well. The 9/8s right now, I think the last one I sold that I saw was $450.
Yeah, and I'm sure a graded slabbed book I could split for a lot more. So
it's huge. It's huge.
Guys, by the way, too, next week, it's all about JR next week. I'm going to do my best to kind of catch up on the Clone Wars as best I can. But it's
what the format that I'm trying to do for it is that there's a lot to digest specifically. And I don't want to info dump a lot of y'all. When that happens, I would want y'all to actually watch Rebels. I want y'all to actually watch Clone Wars. I want y'all to have the same love and admiration for Ahsoka Tano that I've always had, and I can't freaking believe that finally I get to see her on screen, as well as Bo-Katan. I'm hoping a bunch of the other freaking Night Watcher are there too, are coming through. I'm hoping a bunch of the other Mandalorians are gonna continue to progress throughout the film. I'm hoping we do fucking find another Mandalorian Civil War, possibly.
I think we are.
As well as Din Djarin's his offbeat crew, and the reason why his sector had to leave. I'm hoping that comes into play as well. But yeah, I won't. We'll talk. I will talk. A good portion of it will be the extended animated series. But then we're gonna talk a lot about Mandalorian, because we're gonna have to talk about the shit that's going down that I fucking can't believe. It's basically gonna be a Jon Favreau slash freaking I let you just forget his name. Help me out. Dave Filoni. Yeah, it's just basically gonna be a Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni jerking off contest, man. That's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna love it.
Well, like I said, JR is in complete control of the show next week. It'll be great. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to discussing the Mandalorian with you guys. And don't forget, we promised you kind of a updated version of a collector's podcast. And that is coming up probably in a week or so after we're done with the Star Wars. Which, like I said, we're not going to do an episode for each of the the TV series. We're going to do one big bang hurrah next week about Clone Wars, Rebels, and really kind of hit home the Mandalorian.
Season 1 and 2.
So again, we look forward to that. And again, we are expected to do a collector's show in the next couple of weeks, based completely on the information that we got last month from Disney on that huge, massive unload that they got from stuff like from Ironheart to Hawkeye to all that. So we'll get into that and get back to our regularly scheduled programming.
It's crazy, guys. A bunch of Star Wars books just rose up in value, dude, because of that too, because of all the Star Wars news that's coming out. Huge amounts, dude. It's crazy the amount of like people who are buying Star Wars books now, specifically older books too, with like Dr. Aphra and like newer Thrawn, right? Yeah. Freaking we have Thrawn. I haven't fucking talked about Mara Jade yet. And just all this other stuff, but yeah,
try to avoid that.
I know. Oh my god, yeah, I'm so happy. I'm gonna be so happy for next week, dude. And maybe I'll talk about a little bit of the expanded universe as well that happened. When we talk about the twins and Luke's son, his son from the expanded universe, and the things that happen and the ancestors that like all the books, man. Mwah. So,
like I said, we got that to wait for next week. Really enjoy it. And again, for those of you who've been patient with us, we've been kind of delaying the posting of these episodes like by a couple of days, but just so to kind of allow you guys to catch up over the holidays and whatnot. So we're hoping to get these episodes back onto a regularly scheduled posting like between like Monday and Tuesday, but I know it was a little bit late last week on getting episode 32 posted. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for supporting the show. I saw huge numbers with our YouTube channel last week. Thank you so much. Again, at PS Comics, I love you on Twitter. On Facebook and Instagram, PS Comics, I love you. On Twitter, PS Comics, I love you at gmail.com. He is also not JR Comics 42 on Instagram. At Voice of Reason 23 on all social media platforms. Guys, we are desperately out of time and need to go to bed. He is Jerry Cabacungan. I am Kevin Pillow saying so long. Thank you for following us for 11 movies on the Star Wars journey. As we always say, guys, peace.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.